Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode not 181, not 82, but 183 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. We'll talk about that in a moment. But today, we are joined, as always, by the man who never loses count of the episodes, Lord Cognito. How are you today, good sir?
What's going on, man? I was guilty. I'm just as guilty because I was like, I forgot which one it was too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, professional podcasting.
Professional.
Right off the rip.
Right off the rip. Got to know what episode it is. But no, I'm doing good, man. Just running around. I actually try to take a little bit more disconnect time. You know, this is a big, I was speaking to you before the show, big week. You know, I got birthdays, my best friend, and King's birthday, the 4th of July. So I'm just trying to, I've been disconnecting a little bit and then slowly, you know, like, just doing stuff for me. I've been like, cause enough, you know, I got log and I got this, I got ILP. It's like, yeah, let's disconnect. Let's do some stuff for me. Let's take care of that. So I'm excited for this kind of chill week in a way. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I actually know last word tomorrow. So this is like Duke was like the only one that I was like, all right, I can ease into this
nice
week.
When you get that one podcast in a week, maybe two. You're like, okay, nice.
Bro, some days it'll be like 3-4. I think last week it was like 3-4 in a row. I think I was telling you, right? It was like Stelly, Summon Sign, Sega Symbols Plus, Duke, last word. It's like, it was like bam, 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 ILP. And I was like, I got to disconnect. So yeah, I'm loving this stuff.
After that stuff, bro. It eats up your schedule. It eats up the headspace too, because you got to be dialed in for an extended period of time each time. More than any common conversation you have.
Absolutely. In the realm of the Dukes, you know, I don't like to shortchange no one. Any show I go, I like to try to get your best. But how you been? What's been going on with you? You've been doing things, I heard.
Yeah,
too.
I've been flipping things. Yeah. So I've decided to attend the University of the Blackstone Griddle. I've made my commitment. Many of you who listen to Constellation know Micah and I have been having a little back and forth. I've been a free agent on the grilling market. And I was looking at a lot of options. Micah put forward a bunch of great ones. I was looking at charcoal grills. At first, I was trying to avoid the propane tank. Just wasn't crazy about it. Looked into electric grills. They aren't that big. Like, the biggest you can get is not enough. And so I was like, all right, this really isn't working either. And then I was at Lowe's and stumbled across this Blackstone griddle. I'm like, okay, what is this? Not only is this pretty good with the price compared to, like, I was looking at the Weber Spirit 310, I want to say that's what it's called. I was looking at that, it was like $500. I'm like, that's a lot for a little space there. It's like a common looking grill. And I see this Blackstone griddle in like the 300s, 36 inches wide. I'm like, this looks awesome. Okay. So we go home, we think about it a little bit and do my research and watch people make all kinds of things on it. You know, burgers, hot dogs, vegetables, eggs. I'm watching people. I know I could get, by the way, a grill and put a griddle top on it. I know that's possible, but for me, it's the space. So I committed. I was like, let's do this thing. Set it up yesterday, gave it a test run today, made some burgers on it. Thought they came out well. Like, this thing's great for like smash burgers and stuff. And so I am going to be jumping into out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Into the fire. There you go.
Whatever way it goes, I apologize. But yeah, I'm going to be jumping into the deep end is what I should say, because we're hosting a 4th of July party tomorrow as we record this. And I'm very excited about that. I always liked the idea of, like, growing up, I wanted to be a host family.
Oh, we're going to do the hosting. We're going to do
bro.
You get dad mode now. This is dad mode now.
Well, let's not go that far.
I'm just saying, you look at that grills, you at Lowe's. Bro, this is dad mode path. I see that multiverse. I see it happen. I see that.
God, no.
He like, chill, don't throw that on me, Carl.
Don't put that bad juju on me, bro.
Fair
I'll get a
enough.
vasectomy next to make sure this doesn't happen.
You shut it down. I got peeps like that. They like, God.
Not yet, at least. Not yet.
Yeah. I know some people have made that decision though. They're like, no. I was like,
I don't blame them. Yeah, it's like for me, it's like I think I'm mature, but I think I got some ways to go before I start guiding a young Maddie somewhere in life. But also, dude, it's the commitment. It's like I got so much in life I want to experience and see. So selfishly, like, I want to wait a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want a situational disability.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're waiting that long. I mean, I'm talking within reason. I gotta like see Japan and stuff unhindered by a crying kid. That's what I'm talking about.
I was just starting showing it. It was all the discourse this week. I don't know if you saw, but it's been all over. Oh yeah, it's hot out in these. Oh yeah, you did know it is hot in these streets. Leda Pierce had put a statement out in reference to. I think the subject initially.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about. I get too old to have a kid. I was
not that. not a functional.
I was like, that is a situational disability. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That I did catch that.
The fact that you thought that it was the other thing is wild funny. He's like, bro, I'm capable, bro. Don't do that.
I got different genetics, man. Come on now.
He said I'll swim upstream. They swim upstream strong. Swim game. Okay, I got what you're doing.
I did take swimming classes when I was younger, so
I see it translated too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? So I got a griddle. And it's pretty great. We're hosting 4th of July. And so if you're listening to this, happy 4th. We hope those who are celebrating are having a great Independence Day. Very thankful for this country. Otherwise, shout out to Unkempt Talk with our first right into the show. Hey, Maddie and Cog, what's the fallout of the episode number gate? Are Dustin's days numbered? Is this episode numbered correctly? This is the information we've been dying to know since last week. Have a boss fight after a long, unskippable cutscene kind of day. This is so funny because some people were, having a good time with it. I think it's because I led off saying, I'm surprised the Last Stand audience didn't call us out about this. Little did I know I was the one who made the mistake. Some people took it personally. I saw some comments like, yo, man, what the hell's wrong with you, bro? Like, it's all, I was like, oh, yeah, whoa. It's having a light jab, mate. Come on now. So what happened, right? I was like, last week was 181. No, this week is 183. What happened? It's simple as this. When I go to write the episode number, I always double check. I go to our YouTube channel on Last Stand Media, and I see what was the last episode, and then label the script, the episode after, and that's that. So when I did 181 again, it was like, what happened is Dustin didn't put it inside the playlist. And so I don't know how I still managed to mess it up because I usually check the channel, but I guess I ended up on the playlist or something along those lines. But yeah, we talked it out. We figured it out. We're on the right track once more with the episode number because it got carried into the staff chat because I saw the episode number. I announced it as something else, and then I see Dustin labeled it as something else, and I'm like, hold on, Dustin. I was like, I think we got the wrong episode number again. Hold on now. He's like, hold on. He's like, no, I checked. It just wasn't in the playlist on YouTube or on Patreon. I was like, oh, geez. So it's on me. But if you want to support this very professional podcast and write into accurately named episodes, you can do so on patreon.com/laststandmedia. Otherwise, free feeds are available for you. YouTube, as I already mentioned, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. We also are doing Sacred Symbols versus Defining Duke in San Diego. And there will be a link for that in the description below. If you want to go ahead and look it up, I'm grabbing the link right now because Ben did provide it for us.
Yes.
Where in the world did he put it, though?
San Diego in the building. I got to pull up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where he put this link here. Found it. It's the bit.ly/Sacred Dukes. Nice. And so you can find it there. You can join up and meet the Dukes, meet the Sacred Symbols boys, and I'm really looking forward to it, especially because this got like a game show theme.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think this is way better in like the class presentation vibes that we were doing earlier. So this is going to be fun. I'm very excited for it.
I like that energy for sure.
Yeah, sales are looking really good too. So we appreciate those of you who already picked up tickets and being a part of our next live show again in San Diego. It is, let me get the exact date. I apologize. I didn't write this in my script because I've remembered last minute.
You good?
It is September come on, Colin. Where is it here? September. Yes.
September in the building.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I think my man Hogue pulling up too. I think a whole LSM fan.
Hogue and Jaffe. Yep.
Ooh, Jaffe pulling up?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's go.
So
let's go.
September 6th. God, I was like, this is such a bad start for me. I just got to settle in. That's all.
You good. Heating up, man. It's 4th of July week. Griddle.
Yeah.
That's all it is, man. 4th of July. We in chill mode right now. Mets are winning a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's up?
What's going on there?
What we doing? What we doing right now? We feeling, should we get, this is that. Calm down. Well, they'll break our hearts later.
The crazy thing is they're setting up beautifully the typical August collapse that they're always known to do. Like July and June are some good times. And then August comes around. If they stay strong in August, which is basically near the end of the season, then we'll be fine.
Me and you in the same pocket.
I like what I'm seeing, though. I like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing for the Rangers, though, bro. Awful free agency. Now, the Oilers, perfect free agency. Like, shout out to Jeff Jackson. I'm never winning 100% in the sports world, but the Falcons look good this year. Yeah. Oilers look great again. Rangers, stagnant as all can be. All right. Mets looking good though. So
swept the Yankees though. I like that.
Yeah, I'll take 3 out of 4.
The Kings and Queens and the Kings of New York baseball.
Yes.
Hey, Sav. Hey, King. How y'all doing? I get to talk. This is the only time I get to talk to them. I say, you brought your broom to the podcast? Sweet. We don't get to talk much. This is my World Series right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what we get to enjoy.
That's what we get to enjoy. Subway Series.
It's a big deal for us.
Exactly.
Got a bunch of write-ins to kind of set things up here. Some corrections, some follow-ups, some challenges even. Let's start off with Haston Smith. Hey, gentlemen, I love listening to the show, but since COG joined, it's been rough. I've been uncomfortable listening, and the discomfort grows with each episode. The reason why is many years ago at Molaley Skate Park in the Bronx, a group of men started heckling me. Standing at the top of the half pipe, their words stung me like needles. These men I now know, were the Iron Lords. I was staring down the ramp when the Lord Cognito shouted out, "SEGA power!" This startled me so badly that I completely ate face on the ramp, which followed by laughter and ridicule from the Iron Lords and my skate crew. Since that day, I have hung up the elbow pads and vowed to never skate again. I'm just kidding, obviously. This is based on a story Cog told the other day that I thought was funny. Thanks for all the light you two bring to the world, and stay well. Let's get some backstory here on this. What happened? What's true and what's false here?
Oh man, shout out to Haston. All right, so this was a story. Definitely, it was a Stelly story, and to this day, you always have like moments in your life that are like the absolute funniest thing. And sure. I try to think like, what's the funniest thing in my life? And literally, it was with King. And we never forget, we're going, Molaley State Park is a huge skate park at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's actually next to Yankee Stadium. It's adjacent to it. So when you come back from a long day of like, we used to walk to this place in Manhattan over a bridge. This is pre-car day Cog. Like this is, we used to walk, take the train everywhere. So we come back from a long day of trading in video games. And we coming back to the Bronx from from Manhattan. And we just happen to be walking randomly past the skate park. And these are like the professional dudes, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got the half pipe. So when you come in there, you about to see prime time action, right? So I don't know what made us walk this path. And we just walk and we stood there. There was just one guy and he had the look, Batty. He had the look. He had the like, you about to see the most flyest tricks and just on a pro level. And I remember him getting up to the top of the high pipe joint and he kind of did one of those, like, I got it. Like, I'm up. So we just randomly stopped. Like, oh, this the dude. And Maddie, this kid proceeded to like trip or whatever and faced straight down thud. And then like his body did like this. And then like it came to the middle and his feet was up. Like he faced, and you know how your back feet are just up in the air. You just face planted. And everyone's like, oh no, quiet. And we like, oh yeah, we are dying. We're on the side of we're at the gate looking from afar, hysterically laughing. Like it was so bad. Like they look at us like, how dare you laugh at our champion? Like, bro, it was I never laughed so hard with King. I couldn't breathe. Like we laughed from there all the way home because it was just the way when something's quiet and you're not supposed to laugh, it's always the funniest.
That was the worst for me in high school and college. Like I just struggled with that so bad.
And it was King started with the laugh and then I lost it. So Haston, That was a classic day at Malali Skate Park. Funniest day of my life. I was still to this day. And every time me and King, we reenact the story every couple of years, and it brings it back. That's how fun. That was the best laugh I've ever had, laughed in my life for an extended period of time.
Yeah. You know, it's a good one when you like get groups of friends talking about it and you start laughing about it again.
Those are the best, man. Shout out to Haston for listening to Stelly bringing that one up.
All right. Dennis Lofgren with a great write-in here. Hey, guys. I apologize in advance for the long post. I hate to bring up the whole Gears E-Day trailer BTS again. I feel this needs to be said after Cog's comments on Summon Sign. Cog said even though it's in-engine, it shows what can be done with that engine. While it is true, I really feel like it's important to educate the people that you can make CG movies in Unreal and has been used in commercial movie projects as far back as a few shots in Rogue One, as far as I know. I actually didn't know that, so that's pretty interesting. This is a level of quality that can take hours, if not days, to render each frame. Something that will be unattainable in real time for a long time. Even if the assets are from the game, the rendering quality is not. That doesn't mean the game will look bad, of course. It could even look very similar if you don't look too close. Game devs are very good at making the right sacrifices to punch way above their weight. I've seen people on Twitter say it's Unreal, so it's gameplay or something like that. And companies are certainly relying on the average gamer's lack of knowledge here to win marketing points. Sorry again for the long post, but I hope you don't mind me taking this opportunity to help educate the average gamer on what in-engine can make. P.S. I am a game designer myself, and at a previous job, we made a trailer that was done entirely in Unreal's sequencer tool, which is what you can use to make cutscenes. It was all made to look like real-time gameplay, but it was all fake and rendered offline. We had everything possible in gameplay just months later, but it's another reference for people to know how much things can be faked and still be in-engine. And this is totally true. But this is really great insight from someone with a lot more experience just to kind of break down the ins and outs of Unreal Engine. And I was actually unaware of just how far they could push it, that even like movie production was using it, like he mentioned here in the case of Rogue One. But this is good perspective to have, I think, at the end of the day, to understand just how much the truth, if you will, can be twisted. So shout out to Dennis for a very informative write-in. Cog, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, shout out to Dennis. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's one of those things that it's very informative because, again, while something is in engine, so to speak, right? From my understanding, collaboration with Coalition, Blur, GNet, and they're using the textures, environments, and things of that nature to say that, hey, it's captured in UE5. There's many times that things like that happen and that complete scene is manufactured or wasn't necessarily something that was in the game. The reason why I brought it up is that I think the Coalition was so emotional about it is because the fact they wanted to comment is because generally their trailers in the past have done similar things like that with Gears 4, prior Gears, where they take pride that like, hey, when the game actually comes out, oh yeah, it is very close and representative to what that is. And I think that was more of it because they were more upset at Keighley's standpoint, saying it was just CG. And that, you could tell, ticked them off. I was shocked they did that because everything is saying is true. Dennis is on point.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought it was interesting that the devs and Coalition had to refute this was just CG done by Blur Studio, and they didn't like that. I thought that was a whole interest. So yeah, Dennis is on point. It definitely, everything Dennis said is accurate though.
100%. Max Myers is our next write-in. Hey, Duke boys. I'm a person, by the way, this has to be, Max, congrats, the most fascinating write-in I have ever seen. So if you haven't checked this out in advance, unbelievable. Hey, Duke boys, I'm a personal health and longevity consultant and just want to say how much I appreciate you guys spreading the health is wealth message. I do want to touch on something that is rarely talked about. Souls and Souls-like games' effect on your health. I have played many of these games. After my second playthrough of Elden Ring last year, I did some functional testing and found that I had temporarily destroyed the function of HPA axis. My cortisol and DHEA levels were through the floor. These games are so addictive because they tap into your flight or fight response. When you feel shaky and sweaty after taking down Sword Saint Ishin or Mesmer the Impaler, it is because you're being flooded with a cocktail of cortisol, dopamine, and adrenaline, similar to the amped up feeling of debating with strangers on Twitter. Stress, as it turns out, is incredibly addictive. The near constant stakes and tension induce a chronic stress response that is physiologically similar to an endogenous, I apologize, I completely butchered that, internally generated cocaine addiction. I would encourage anyone to take their blood pressure or blood sugar after taking down a massive boss, and they will likely see spikes in both, which over the dozens of hours of playtime will add up to a whole lot of suppressed immune function, suppressed hormones, blood sugar dysregulation, and cardiovascular and nervous system stress. It's my opinion that ultimately these games should be viewed as vices, incredible works of art, yes, but risky nonetheless. And if you're noticing your health and stress tolerance is diminished while playing these games, it might be wise to take note. Keep up the good work, fellas.
Wow.
Max Myers, FDNP, HHP.
Do the stats
How about
on
that?
It. Do. Okay, I see what you did.
How about that?
Salute. Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? I mean, look, there's obviously medical truth to the whole cortisol levels and how that correlates to anxiety and stress and stuff like that. And I'm going to surprise the good doctor here. You know what I'm saying? Look, no, he's right. It's not for everyone. And obviously, my reasons for not doing it is not that. But, it is interesting that it does have that effect on some people, especially if you're a person that suffers from anxiety and you have a lot of those things that could contribute to diminished, health. I get that. Then there's another part of me that's like, there is an adrenaline rush to the challenging boss kind of situation, and I do feel that. Here's what I say on a gameplay. On a medical level, I see what he said. On a gameplay level, and I am not the Souls guy, I do understand. I think, unfortunately, what unfortunately about this culture is that we want to have help and to have things accessible for everything all the time. The fact that they have stuck, Miyazaki and them has stuck to their core principles of what, Elden Ring is going to be, I think it does teach a valuable lesson from a growth standpoint, from a human standpoint, which is things that you think are ultimately impossible, right? That you think there is no way. Eventually, you can find the mechanics or whatever it is needed to be done to beat this impossible thing. And I think there is a value to that. We had your boy, Fighting Cowboy, on it in the realm. We were talking about that. And he basically was saying, it was like, there are tools that the game gives you to accomplish these feats. And it's up to you to figure them out. But if you, what's that expression? With definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results, right?
And the final boss of Erdtree.
Oh boy, I heard he was talking about that too. We got to get a bit of, he spoke highly of you, sir. He spoke highly.
Oh, really?
Cowboy shot. He's like, bro. Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, but it's always nice to hear.
He's like, what are you going to get me to do? So I was like, we go work something out. Don't worry about it. I thought I was coming through for some Souls talk or some lies of talk. He was ready. He was ready.
All right. I love that. No,
he was ready. Shout out to Cowboy. But I just wanted to bring him up in reference to this conversation. And just in terms of the mental challenge and overcoming hurdles, that aspect of life, I think is important for this generation, because I come from that. I come from the Shinobis with one life, one quarter, no continues, no YouTube channel to watch a video, no whatever. Now, obviously, we defer to the good doctor. If your mental situation and your physical situation, this is not conducive for you to be playing these type of games. You notice your physical health deteriorating, or you really becoming not the greatest person, and maybe it's really not for you. But I'm curious where you stand. This is an interesting thing, like as far as the way you broke it down on how it affects your health and that dopamine rush.
It's funny because I wonder if you got any studies on like tolerance levels. Like, can you case study me, Max? Because it sounds like with your reference of like Ishin and Mesmer, like you are in on the Souls-like. So I imagine your experience where taking your own test may be similar to mine, but I'm curious. Like, I used to get nervous hands, like sweaty during boss fights in FromSoft games, but now it's just, I've done it since like 11th grade, right? Like, so it was like, 16, 15, like I've done it for so long that like, it's half my life spent playing these types of games. Like the thrill and some of the thrill is gone, frankly, but so is some of the nerves. Like, and part of it is also, it's more about the balancing. Like I think of the final boss of Erdtree, and I'm like, when I beat it, it really didn't feel satisfying. It was just like, fuck you. That's all I felt. I was like, I just can't stand you. Like I uninstalled the game right after too. I was like, I'm done. Like it was, I couldn't stand that final boss, dude. I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I'm just curious if we can get more tests, Max, if there's something I can do to help assess better if there's different reactions for different people, or follow up with your knowledge and just let us know. Cause I'm curious about that. Cause I'm trying to think if like my stress tolerance is higher or lower. And it's funny because I've noticed in this since the last couple of weeks, I was like, I'm feeling really good lately. Like I feel like my tolerance of everything has gone up, which used to be a staple of mine. It always has been, but like when I was moving and stuff, my tolerance for shit was just so much lower. And I don't have tolerance for bullshit, but just like things that normally I wouldn't just get a little bothered by just started to bug me. I was like, and so it's been back to normal in that regard. But that's after a Souls-like experience. In fact, we'll talk about later too. So I don't know if I'm just getting to a better headspace after a couple of years of really not being in the best one or what. But thank you, Max, nonetheless, for your write-in. Let me know if Souls-likes can actually help your mental health, because then I'd be curious.
Yeah, that's actually a good question.
All right, last write-in before we get into some news bits. Christopher with a challenge. Hey, guys, I got to challenge you a bit on Black Myth Wukong. How was that fake story about exclusivity pushed on the show without any conversation about how ridiculous it is? 1, Sony never mentions it's exclusive, doesn't even have it at the underwhelming state of play. 2, the game comes out this month, and outside of advertising that they do for any game, they aren't mentioned. No PS advertising at the beginning of the date trailer, which preceded this conspiracy. And 3, the only thing they gain is a dig at the Series S, something clearly underpowered that Larian had the same issues with. Is the idea that they paid Game Science only to insult the Series S. I love you both and the content, but this struck me as odd. You guys are clearly not fanboys. I don't want to make that argument, but this is an example of why there's that perception around the show. I truly don't want to come off as negative, but I hope you guys would have had a more logical conversation on this topic. Love you. Have a jet fuel can't melt steel beams kind of day. All right, Christopher, let's chat. Cog, we talked a bit about Black Myth Wukong. For those who weren't caught up on the story, last week we discussed how Xbox heavily suggested that PlayStation had money-hatted Black Myth Wukong, because the game that was originally slated for an August release alongside all other systems, PC, PlayStation, all that stuff, suddenly wasn't releasing. And Xbox made mention that, I have the quote right here. We're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. So what you're honing in on here, Christopher, is that we took a look at this quote and said, it's possible, by the way, that there was some sort of money deal involved. Now, I think Windows Central had a really good article on it. And in fact, they write here, I became aware of whispers and rumors while out in LA for the Xbox Showcase 24 that despite the optimization assertions, Game Science had actually taken some form of exclusivity deal with PlayStation for Black Myth Wukong. Reading between the lines, Microsoft does seem to suggest that some form of third-party exclusivity deal may be in play, although it stops short of explicitly stating as such. If that is the case, a retroactive exclusivity deal like this is problematic for a variety of reasons, particularly when you've already announced which platforms your game is coming to. A delay for optimization reasons is also problematic for Microsoft and Xbox because it furthers the narrative that the Xbox isn't a priority for developers and furthers speculation that developers find the Series S difficult to work with. If Black Myth Wukong had taken an exclusivity deal, it would be within Sony's interest to cast doubt over the Xbox platform by keeping details of the deal a secret. Now, Game Science is a independent studio. They're also a new team. So keep that in mind that I don't think any sort of money deal is something they are immune to.
Right.
I'm not trying to fuel a myth or a narrative. I'd have to go back and listen closely. I should have listened when I read this write-in. So I do apologize, Christopher. But I would like to say, at least in my current mindset now, that it's less about feeling some sort of conspiracy theory and saying, well, Xbox suggested it. And it wasn't like your typical spokespersons that I'm a little more questionable trust with, like the big execs like Sarah, Matt, Phil, where I've kind of said, like, look, I got to pump the brakes on just believing what they got to say here. Like, I think we should look at it with some scrutiny. And that doesn't mean that just a random anonymous Xbox spokesperson should be run away with as fact. But when you have added in suggested reporting from Windows Central, who's a very trustworthy source, and you have Game Science's statement, which is up here, we're currently optimizing the Xbox Series X and S versions to meet our quality standards, so it won't release simultaneously with the other platforms. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. What it reads like is one of two things. One, Xbox has decided to lie, which is possible. They've decided to lie and say, hey, it's PlayStation. But since they didn't do that for the biggest game of 2023, in when the Series S was the culprit, I find it hard to believe that they're going to do that now for Black Myth Wukong, right? So that's theorizing based on previous information that's been out, sourced, confirmed, official, etc. Looking at this, we have conflicting statements. We have, well, we're optimizing it. Sorry, it's going to take a little while. And, well, there's some sort of deal here, and it's being suggested by press even that something may be going on. And what we may be witnessing here, while what you're saying is entirely true, is a different form, potentially, if it ends up being true. I don't think we came out hot saying,
we weren't
this is 100% it.
Yeah, we were
more like, it might be money-hatted, which is PlayStation's MO, might I add. So I think they're supporting, I think your arguments are well supported. I also think there's good supporting arguments on why this might be the case. Yeah. And I don't think it's fanboyish, just in our defense. I don't think it's fanboyish to suggest that. But Cog, please chime in.
No, 100%. I mean, you pretty much nailed what I was going to say. I mean, it is definitely implied by the statement that Xbox said, and I get it. Christopher's he's not feeling that. He feels that it is within the realm of reason. I guess my pushback to Christopher would be, well, why do you think it's outside of the realm of reason that a deal can't happen? That it's impossible for I guess Sony to take or make some type of deal with an independent team. We do have examples of that. So again, to be clear, like you said, Maddie, we weren't like 100%, but we were like, if it was to be true based on what we see, right, and what we're hearing from that, it would make sense. And I think that's what it is. As far as the whole clearly underpowered, Series S stuff, again, we've said it time and time again, a lot of this is extra development time, you know what I mean? And I get that. But what I do feel, like I said before, is that, it is probably, if it's not the case, right, it is problematic for Xbox to be in that situation where that is being utilized if a deal was placed. And the last thing I'll say is, if a deal was struck, do you think Game Science is going to come out and say, yes, we took the bag?
Yeah,
we got to be real about that.
That's true.
Yeah, they can't. They contractually cannot say that. We've seen. Let me last point. We've seen verbiage from Capcom and stuff like that. You can't mention this. You can't mention Game Pass. You can't have these things are done by companies, and I have no problem with it. But I just wanted to be reasonable. I think we left it open that there's still a chance that it could be right. Say the Series S or whatever may be the case, but we also have to look at what the data. I mean, look at what the information that we have so far to show that it is possible a deal can be made here. So we'll see.
We shall see.
Waiting for the Jason Schreier expose.
Yeah. We'll see what happens then, right? All right. Thank you, everyone, for your write-ins. Let's go ahead and get into our first item on the news, which is Xbox Cloud Gaming coming to Amazon Fire Sticks or Fire TV Sticks, sorry, which I think is a massive deal, dude. Like this could be a pretty big game changer for them long term. It's definitely, because originally it's like just Samsung TVs. This is really, when you talk about something that a lot of people have, many people have Samsung TVs, but there was like certain types at first, that sort of thing. We talk about something that's like readily available that people have access to. This could be a big game changer in the terms of getting into the Xbox ecosystem in a way that will mesh well with that pickup and connect controller. And so I find this to be something worth monitoring, because when you get this going ahead of things like Call of Duty coming into Game Pass, I think this is, we're marinating the food right now, is how I see it. What are your thoughts on Xbox Cloud Gaming coming to Amazon Fire TV Sticks?
Yeah, this is a big surprise. And we talked about it prior to ILP when it broke. And the thing for me is, I look at Microsoft as, their long-term ambitions, and especially the cloud gaming space, right? What they want to do there. And we do know, right, that obviously the big competitors, Google at one point, Stadia was outside at one point.
Yeah.
I'd still contend that Stadia is from a fiber optic, from a latency networking standpoint, really good, even NVIDIA and stuff like that. We're seeing the deals now, NVIDIA. We're seeing relationships change. Mm-hmm. And Amazon is huge because, remember, they were one of the competitors. We have Luna coming, remember? Amazon Luna and all. I mean, no joke. I mean, no disrespect. What's my man that used to be on Xbox? He's over there. Oh, man, a super cool dude. He was down with the Xbox hardware team at one point. Albert Pinello, I believe. He went over there. A couple of people went over there that they had notable people in the industry. And I'm like, okay, they're taking a serious stab at cloud gaming. And then we kind of never heard nothing about the thing no more, right? Kind of just So the fact that we have to be clear, like you said, Amazon, in my opinion, is everywhere. But I don't know about you. I'm using Prime all the time. Things ship to me all the time. And then here's the other thing where the relationship may be a little bit more symbiotic, because if you look at the press release what Xbox Wire put out, they mentioned the Fallout TV show, right? Which is doing numbers for them. So you're starting to see this development. And again, I know the hardcore gamers like, it ain't for me, fam. Like, I'm never doing that. And that may be true. But you have to think about markets outside of the United States where a console, from an affordability standpoint, is not there, or people who already have Amazon Fire Sticks. And Amazon, let's be honest, they're trying to get in there with Apple versus, the Apple TV and stuff like that. You throw this app on with this type of games and this availability, let's see what happens. So I think it's a relationship that both, they're flirting, and I didn't see this coming. I did not see this type of partnership. So I'm very curious to see how it does in general. And then obviously, look, the elephant in the room is always going to be latency in a world where, but there are markets internationally where they're ahead of us in the United States. You know what I'm saying? And they can actually utilize this type of technology in that space. So I'm very curious to see what type of engagement, especially with Xbox in this ubiquitous future where we want to be everywhere, right? Outside of the console market, if they catch fire there, this is something they're going to continue to invest in. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, a couple other things worth noting is this is launching in July, this month. It's for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers only, and it's going to support the Fire TV Stick 4K Max and Fire TV Stick 4K models in more than 25 countries. All you need is a TV stick, Bluetooth controller, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription. I'm excited about this because I do a lot of my gaming here in my office space, but sometimes I want to game out on the projector, but we don't have like the extra systems in the house. The idea that I could hook up just a little dongle into the back of the projector and have access to my entire Xbox catalog is really exciting. Like, I'm super pumped about that sort of stuff. I know there are other ways I could have got it going on there regardless of that. But since it's already hanging from the ceiling, you'd have to set up a whole shelving unit to get like the console to reach up there, or put the console on the back of the couch and have a wire hanging down. This is a nice, sleek way to do it. So on a personal level, I'm excited about this and I really want to check it out. But yeah, this is a huge deal, man. I really think this can blow open the floodgates over time, because you kind of described it more as like a step. And I think that's true. It's not like the end goal, but it's like a step, because once they're like on Apple TVs and stuff, like when it's just that level of accessibility where it's everywhere, I think that player count is going to become a more relevant metric, because it should increase so much that their subscription count should go up and they should be making more money through it. So we'll see what happens, but we'll monitor things as we head into July, which I think at least the second half, based on what we're about to get into next here, as well as looking at Game Pass and things, might be actually a sneaky big month for Xbox. So let's talk a bit about that. Activision Transformers games have been listed, but currently are unavailable for purchase. Now, there's two sides to this story, Cog. Some people have claimed in specific regions of the world, you could always look up the Transformers games, all of them, on Xbox. Some obviously could not. Now, two things are really interesting about this. Number one is the real change is that they've been listed on Steam. That's the new thing. They have not been taken down. They have been relisted on Steam. The other thing worth noting is when one time Activision accidentally relisted a game that was not supposed to be up, which was, as many people remember, I reported TMNT Out of the Shadows, which I was very excited about, might I add, because I think that game is so overlooked. It's not perfect. It's very flawed. I bought it, and Activision literally took the game out of my library and said, here's your money back. Thank you. Because it's a licensing thing. It's a licensing thing. Yeah, they cannot sell it without having the rights to the license. So I'm sure Activision wouldn't have mind taking my money for that, but they couldn't. They legally couldn't. So the fact that these are being relisted, haven't been taken down, that means likely they're being ready to be, it's getting ready to be put available for sale. When you combine that with one of our top stories later in the show that we'll talk about, where Activision games are seemingly being primed for a Game Pass drop, And if I remember correctly, Cog, isn't there a new Transformers movie this year?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Timing out kind of well, don't you think?
Yeah, seems to be lining up.
What do you think about this, sir? You are Lord Transformers, so I want to get your thoughts on these games being relisted. Do you believe? When do you think they may be dropping? If it's real, let's hear from you.
First of all, shout out to the Rum and the Duke show. I love that they listen to Find Duke so much that everyone knows what our passions are. So there's anything that are related to our passions, we get the tweet. We get the, yo, Cog, look. So I've just been sending people to me. It's happening. It's happening. I've been sending that one. But look, I think it is. Look, this is exciting, you know what I'm saying? Because I do feel that, they've been sitting on this. Because remember, even from Lulu back in the day when she was there, and they were talking about this, and they were worried that, I think, or Hasbro even mentioned hey, somebody said we want to bring them back, but about the license, and Lulu was like, oh no, that's available. We have the source code. There's nothing wrong with this. That it can be done. So those
calls were made.
Exactly. So those were the signs that things are developing. And like you said, you speak to these guys on the teams. A lot of this legwork behind the scenes to incorporate these games into Game Pass and just to put them on the platform, it's a lot of back end work, a ton of back. It is not that easy. And legally, they couldn't work until the deal was officially done. Anything prior to that is like tampering. They did not want to risk any of that stuff. So it seems to be lining up. We got a report. Obviously, I believe Tom Henderson Inside Gaming them about, Activision things happening maybe. And this seems to line up. So, yeah, I mean, bro, if I get Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron, that's all I want. Like the way you revere, KOTOR, that's me with these games.
Amazing, dude.
Bro, this is for the G1. I'm a Transformers G1 purist. Mm-hmm. To all I want, all the classic lines from the movies and the cartoons leading up to the movie. That to me is pinnacle Transformer. This guy, shout out to man, Teague, I believe his name is he was from High Moon. He's still there. I'm still trying to find this man.
I remember you saying, you put out your message. Put out another beacon. Put out another beacon.
If y'all know Teague, I believe his name is David Teager from High Moon Studio. He's still there. Free him from the salt mines that is going to do whatever he's doing. Free this man. This man is a genius. Somebody asked me recently, what's your bucket list of interviews that you haven't done? And I'm like, this is one of the guys, because what's so dope about him, G1 purist, understood the law, went to Hasbro, got permission to make those games canon prior to the cartoon. This is pre-Cybertron, before they came to Earth. It is amazing. And he's got the voice acting. He got Peter Welker's Megatron. He's got, Cullen as, Optimus. Bro, it is so good. It is really good. The first game was a little slightly different because it was actually 3-player co-op. They had the option. You could do it.
There was that though, yeah.
Yeah, and then the second one, they went in more refined, tell it from the Autobot standpoint, tell it from the Decepticon standpoint. Both games had that.
Fall, right? That was Fall.
Yeah, Fall is so good. That was pinnacle. And then the multiplayer low-key was fun. Create your own Transformer. Yeah. Bro, I'm trying to keep it together. But if I see the Transformers series, if I see the Marvel Ultimate, it's going to be a party on my Xbox. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be super lit. These are games I wanted so long. So yes, I do think it's coming. I'm just trying to calm down. It was the web, but if it's not the end of the month, something's cooking. And we feel it, because we all said missed opportunity, right? We thought, they were definitely going to be at the showcase. Yeah. They probably needed more time. Maybe they're trying to line things up contractually.
Yeah, this is really exciting, because there are some extremely good Transformers games. You already mentioned War and Fall of Cybertron. I think of also Transformers Devastation from Platinum. Ooh. That's one that really was no one knew it at the time, but that was like the swan song for Transformers games, right? Since then, it's been like mobile stuff. There was a new one I sent you that got announced, which you could tell how the standards had lowered, because I saw all the comments like, man, this looks great. I'm like, do you all remember what Transformers fans were getting like a little less than a decade ago? No. It's a far cry away from that. It doesn't look awful, but compared to what Transformers fans were getting, you could see it's like me with the Ninja Turtles, except they've been getting treated pretty well lately, but the standards lower, where I'm like, all right, as long as it's like a 7 out of 10, we're cool. Don't worry about it. Just give me something respectable. Yeah, anime games, same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sad to see it kind of ended up that way, but these games are phenomenal, and it makes you wonder about when TMNT Out of the Shadows was accidentally listed. If that was like, how much back end work do you think has been going on to maybe get some games active for back compat, for Game Pass, that sort of thing? I say that because what's been noted in all these stories is no listings for PlayStation. Now, there are some snafus here, but there's also their own set of rumors. Like, apparently Mark Cerny submitted a patent for PS3 back compat on PS5. And I'm like, yes, please.
Fire.
That'd be amazing. We'll see if it's I put in quotes, back compat, which is just ports for PS2 and PSP games like they're doing right now, which is great, by the way. I love it. But we'll see if it's that form of, quote, backwards compatibility, or it's true, like, disc in the console, back compat. If that's something that they pull off, it's going to be insane. But we'll see. But the point being is that they may be like, there might be a reason that they can't do those old Transformers games there because it's, the back compat feature is not available on PlayStation yet. But just another thing worth monitoring here, that Xbox could be a home for soon a ton of back compat games for Activision, which would be huge. I would love to see them get some of these active. In particular, for me, I always go back to Ultimate Alliance.
Oh, bro, I need that.
Bro, I've been playing with a buddy. I've been playing X-Men Legends 2, which is the precursor, the setup really to Ultimate Alliance, and it's amazing. In some ways, it's kind of better than Ultimate Alliance combat and presentation wise. Like, it's really good. It would be amazing to see how deep down the rabbit hole they could go, because Activision, man, I know they don't got the best rep right now, but back then, if you saw a licensed game with that logo on it, it was like easy pickup. Easy pickup.
Good call out on the X-Men joint. Yeah, that was the precursor to getting me my Ultimate Alliance. Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get news for COG soon on Transformers games coming to Xbox. But for me, it's heartbreak.
No, I heard about this.
Yeah, bro. I got tagged in this a bunch. I was like, of course. Sakaguchi, Final Fantasy creator, says he has no interest in revisiting Final Fantasy. Okay, that's fine. Or any of his old franchises. He has no interest in bringing older games such as Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon to modern platforms. Quote, he does want to find a way to revive the strategy game Terra Battle, which was released for phones in 2014, but is no longer playable, end quote. So the Lost Odyssey remaster port dream just might die here. In fact, I think it is dead if he doesn't want to do it. Now, he's saying revisiting, maybe it's like going to do a sequel. I don't think there's really room for, in my opinion, a Lost Odyssey sequel. I've not beat Blue Dragon, so I don't know. But man, if they're like not gonna, I think Lost Odyssey I'm glad back compat exists, but I think Lost Odyssey sitting as is, I'm biased because I love this game. It's one of my favorite JRPGs ever. Is such a crime though. I really feel strongly about it because it came out. It's so funny. It came out during a time where people were looking at Final Fantasy 13 with excitement. They got it. People like me still loved it, but there were people who really hate Final Fantasy 13. And this was the true Final Fantasy 13, like creators from the series itself to the composer, everyone from Final Fantasy was actually involved in Lost Odyssey. And I feel like nowadays, if you're like Square Enix, I know this is like an Xbox game, Mistwalker involved. But if you are Square Enix and you can kind of do what you did with what they're doing right now, I'm forgetting the name of the game that Sakaguchi made, the one that he's bringing over from Apple Arcade, but I'll get the name of it in a moment here. But if you can kind of pull that out and put your name on it, I feel like Lost Odyssey is like a free couple million sales because it's literally a Final Fantasy classic with just a different name attached to it. And that would be amazing. So I hope that people beyond Xbox can experience it because it really is that good. And it is a game worth reviving for some sort of like remaster re-release. If he says revisiting in the terms of new entries, I'm behind it. I don't think Lost Odyssey needs more than one entry. Like, it is that good on its own. It's that conclusive. There is room for a sequel, but I don't think they need to do it personally. But Cog, what do you make of this heart-shattering news?
Yeah, consoling you an addict this week. He was going through it too. He was telling me, he's like, man, I just wish that he would, want to do it. And this guy's a legend. He is an
Fantasian. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's what
you
Fantasian. I was like, what the fuck is it called? All right, please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Like he just, man, I mean, think about the history. I mean, the name Final Fantasy, comes from this man. You know what I'm saying? Like in general, and then all these titles before that what was the other one? Last Story he did.
I never played that. I always forget about that one, and that's also under his belt. I never played that though.
Great things.
I got it on my Wii, but that's another one that's trapped too. Like this man is the ultimate. Like, what would you call it? Like he's the ultimate prison. What's the prison master called? I got
like the warden,
name.
Like the
he's the ultimate warden, bro. Like this guy's got all these games in prisons, and we're not revisiting them at all.
It's so interesting.
I just want to sell you my old mobile games.
Yeah, like it's so interesting. Like what happened? What got him into that state where, because you would assume people have approached, to give him a bag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he kind of went. He was doing stuff for like Nintendo and even Xbox a little bit, and then obviously mobile and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a shame because I was hoping for a remake to revisit a lot of these games with modernized sensibilities. And I mean, yes, back compat exists, so we get it. But it's just like, man, these are really iconic franchises that, to me, would demand a reboot. But it's up to the creator. He don't want to do it, which is surprising. Like he doesn't want to, but. Yeah. Is he at least talking about anything new dropping for something?
Well, he's obviously Fantasian, right? Like that's next. After that, though, I didn't see really any mentioning of it, but it's still a great interview. It was conducted by Jason Schreier. I don't have Bloomberg, so I had to go off like the Spark Notes version across like social media and art outlets across the industry. But it's looking like the focus is Fantasia, which is smart. I think that game is looking really good, and I'm keen to see what this kind of reunion between Square Enix and Sakaguchi does. So we'll see, but otherwise, no real word on what's next for him. So we'll see, but yeah, it sucks to see, but it is what it is. As the trend continues, everything I love goes to die.
Oh man, not like this. We got to give our boy some good news right now. It's not good.
All right. Well, good news for Dead Rising fans. I can't get a KOTOR remake for my life, but you get a second remaster of Dead Rising with the Deluxe Remaster, which releases on September 19th of this year. Promax Media has the right in. Hey, Dukes, love to hear your thoughts on the Dead Rising Remaster coming September 19th. I'm happy to see this franchise get some love as it seems to be abandoned these past few years. Does this change anything for the franchise moving forward? Love the show, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Promax. We appreciate you. This is one of those games that kind of walks that line between remaster and remake. Like it's being made in the RE engine and it looks visually really good. But they said that there's no real like major gameplay changes or anything like that. So it kind of Crisis Core reunion energy, it seems like. Cog, what do you think of what you've seen of Deluxe Remaster for Dead Rising? And will you be picking it up? And of course, to Promax's question, does this change anything moving forward for you?
It doesn't change anything for me per se. It's one of those franchises that like it's fun, but I never really said like, yo, I'm a Dead Rising guy. Last one I remember was 3. Obviously, it was at Xbox One launch. I thought that was interesting with the sheer amount of volume. It's what it is. Like they have taken a different approach to the zombie genre, which is cool. Like they over the top, fighting in the mall, and, all type of craziness. And it's cool. It's just, I do tend to like the more bleak, serious, Walking Dead kind of. And I think that's why State of Decay and stuff like that appeals to me, where, you're trying to survive, you're trying to get resources, stuff like that. This is like, we gonna have some fun. We go, and that's fine too. Like there's people who love it. It's just that I gravitate towards a more serious part. That's why.
It's funny because I just want to make sure as I proceed to have an episode of butchering the name, I just want to make sure, okay, they are called psychopaths. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to hear you say that because Dead Rising does have these characters, in particular, and I know 2 has some pretty crazy ones called psychopaths that apparently have some like really dark stories attached to them. Like that was the charm for people with the first 2. I say for people because for me, I'm kind of in the boat that I was never really like a Dead Rising guy. Like I remember the first time I tried Dead Rising 2, me and my friends were on like a co-op games kick on a 360 and we found out about Dead Rising. And I remember that was like the first time I can think of in my young teenage life where I played a game and I was just bad at it. Yeah, I was just, my friend was like, number one, they had the timer, which I wasn't crazy about. But I remember just being bad at Dead Rising 2. Like I kept going down, I kept dying. And I remember saying to my friend, like, I fucking suck at Dead Rising, dude. Like I'm terrible at this. And I really never played it since. I played a little bit of Dead Rising 4 because it's Christmas themed. And I kind of find that game, I know it's considered many people like a betrayal of the series, but if we're talking like setting and tone, I think we rarely get Christmas games. And I just thought that game was kind of interesting in its own way, like running around a Christmas time mall. It was really cool. But yeah, these games do have darker stories. I don't think now that I think about it, I don't think I ever played the original. So my Dead Rising, it's funny, I was planning a retrospective for Dead Rising in October for Retro Rebound, but now we might have to move it up. For the review. But yeah, when it comes to the franchise moving forward, if what Capcom's actions have taught me anything is that if they're going to remake something, they know there's money there. So Resident Evil, that's why it's getting the remake treatment, right? They know money's there. You could tell where they believe the money is and where they're still collecting data. Mega Man, they've been collecting data for a while, right? Like, let's put out X Legacy. Let's put out the Legacy collection as well. Let's put out the Zero collection, Battle Network collection. I'm sure Star Force or Legends is next. They're going to keep putting those collections out. Let's just see, what are they interested in? Let's see what's going on over there, right? Let's kick the tires on this one. Dead Rising, many people may not remember because it kind of went out in just a little bit of like a puff. But they came out with Dead Rising 4. People were displeased. I don't think it sold well at all. And that was really it. No activity for the franchise otherwise. I remember there was an initial moment of excitement for the game when it was first announced because they brought back Frank West.
Yeah,
they're setting them all again. People were like, back to basics.
Back to basics, bro.
A lot of it was not that. So this might be a way to kind of kick tires, see if it's good to hit the reset button on a remake, which would be funny because this would be like the fourth version of Dead Rising we get, not including any 360 re-releases, but the fourth kind of remastered version we get, if that ends up being the case, or maybe they reboot it, who knows? But obviously Capcom's on this just insane streak right now where, like, that's why I want them to make a Mega Man game now. I'm like, while you got the hot hand, like, do it now, just like you did with Dragon's Dogma, which we'll talk about in a couple of stories here. Like, they pulled the trigger on it, it came out, it was amazing, and I couldn't be happier about it. So I hope while they got the hot hand, Dead Rising fans get to eat a little bit too. Capcom's got a lot of franchises people love, so it's gonna be tough for everyone to feast, but I think it's a good sign anytime you see a little franchise activity, because it doesn't just happen like, fuck it, let's put this out. It's like they're researching something or seeing what the interest is or have the confidence it's going to find an audience. So I'm curious to see how it does. But yeah, I think the game looks good, and I'm excited to check it out if I have a moment in September when things get really busy.
Really crazy. Yeah. Shout out to Capcom and the treasure trove of IPs that they have.
All right. Next up, very obvious. Don't know if we have much to say on this. A new Resident Evil game is in development. Cog, share with me how stunned you were when you learned about this. This is from the director, by the way, of Resident Evil Revelation, and more importantly, Resident Evil 7, which is one of my favorites. I love that game.
I like the comments they said. It was kind of like they're so excited about what they landed on for this new one conceptually, right?
Yeah, they were thinking for a while.
Yeah. So I like when I hear stuff like that. It means you, I wouldn't say necessarily automatically come up with something that's going to think outside the box, but you've got the creative juices flowing, that you've decided on something that you think is fire and you're ready for another mainline game. Mm-hmm. Look, the series is what the series is. We can't deny, the cultural impact, the intensity of what a Resident Evil does. Again, it just seems like Capcom can't miss right now. And they're doing it right now. I don't know if you saw the hirings. It's been insane right now. Yeah. Capcom, they are in their research. Everyone else is like struggling. They like, we good up. Though. Monster Hunter good. We good. We got Street Fighter. Whatever they're doing, like to see. I love it. Capcom's one of the OGs. I mean, from back in the day. So I love to see them, 100%. Just seeing success that they're doing right now and just being able to thrive in a very tough industry right now. So yeah, salute to them.
Yeah,
right
thriving. And I mean, they chose the right time to struggle, which is during the 360 PS3 generation where they just threw everything at the wall and nothing was sticking. So
I know.
I'm excited because this is coming from the director of Resident Evil 7. And that felt like, I like Resident Evil 8 a lot, but Resident Evil 7 really felt like they were thinking on a different level. I know apparently it was supposed to be titled something else, but I think if you look at series history, just Resident Evil 7 versus everything else, it just stands out in a really unique way. And I've replayed that game so many times. Like, that's one of my favorites. I love that game. And so if we get, because the idea of just being in, for the most part, this just a house, that claustrophobic feel was there. Well, as people kind of talk about with the police station in Resident Evil 2, it just remind me of that feel that I got from that game. Just what a great franchise, and very excited to see more from it.
Nice.
We have a performance update for Dragon's Dogma 2. It actually might run at a higher frame rate, as there's a new graphics toggle, which will allow users to play with either high or low settings on consoles. And players using 120 hertz TVs are not going to have the option to make use of a higher frame rate range as well. So if you make the game look a little worse, Capcom's words are, this should improve frame rate. So no exact frame rate modes or anything like that yet. They're doing anything but performance and fidelity. However, this is a step in that direction. Cog, any thoughts on Dragon Dogma 2? Did you ever finish this game?
Right at the end. And then Destiny game. I got all my unlocks. And, another 3/4 of an eaten sandwich. Here's the deal. I will say this, though. They did put out a statement that more updates are coming. That they are planning to whatever. So I got a tactical decision to make. That got to get finished. I'm right there. Like, it's literally, it's a joke. It's right there towards the end.
You're at like the end game area?
Yeah, like I'm thinking, like, wow. I got there. Like, I got to just do it. Again, this is the problem with games being great and, oh my God, squirrel, what's this? Oh my God, this is amazing too. Like, it's just, I gotta get it done. But I will say, you incentivizing even more now, because that was the only issue with the game. Let's be honest, the performance and the bugs and foolishness that would happen here and there. But 120 hertz more, my OLED game, I'm telling you, I thought I throw that off. And they did say another technical update is coming. They are aware about the frame rate. But even with the bad issues, I still enjoy the game. I still love the game. You know what I'm saying? So I will get it done. It's just a matter of what I tell you about what we're playing, the other problem I have. When we get to the what I'm playing section, you're going to see what my dilemma right now is crazy.
Let's scroll down and just take a peek there.
Yeah. I've got dilemmas of things that are developing that I'm like, oh man, you're good too.
Yeah,
it's like that. Like, I'm like, oh, like I got games that are coming for me, and then with Destiny, I had to tell Destiny, chill just for a second, just for a second. Let me try to get outside, talk to other people. It's a very selfish relationship. So that's what it is. But yeah, I will get Dogma. You will get done. You're right. I'm at the end area. I got my Mystic Spear hand. We ready to rock and just knock this thing out. But 120 hertz and extra frames, yes, sir. I like that.
All right. Let's move on from Capcom, talk about Ubisoft. Ubisoft is remaking multiple Assassin's Creed games on top of the new entries for the franchise. So right now, the rumor is Black Flag is getting a remake. Now, Cog, there's a lot of ways this can go, right? They're still making new entries, so you get stuff like Shadows. There's, I think, Assassin's Creed Hex was another one that leaked, which is another mainline entry next year, I believe it is, or the year after, something along those lines. Now, looking at the list of potential remakes, do you have a selection from the list of games there of ones that could be remade? I imagine they're looking at 360, PS3 era games in particular, but I could be wrong. I mean, Black Flag it's newer. It's a little bit over a decade old. You know, it came out in 2013 or 14, I want to say. So it's not that old where a remake is pretty big stretch, but I'm guessing it's because Skull and Bones did so bad. They're like, we got to use this shit stuff. Holy hell, guys. Like, let's figure it out.
Fire those assets up.
Free game on top of that. I mean, literally, it's the perfect way to reuse assets. It's how could you not? Like, it sells itself. I think it's so smart of them. But beyond that, okay, some of these others, like, let's see how much we can share with Assassin's Creed Shadows in like one. What do you think gets remade beyond Black Flag?
Man, they're so confusing because obviously we heard from years ago there was going to be that when things got bad for Ubisoft, it's like, yo, you guys get a bunch of Assassin's Creed games. We're going to give, like, they went back to the break glass, if emergency break glass Assassin's Creed game, they love that, right? So what I'm hoping is they flirted with Mirage, but I think me and you both agree that it was still a half measure in the sense of going back to the old school mechanics. I'm very curious if they go all the way back.
I feel like AC1's got to be an easy candidate on that list. That's
Right?
still a great game, but the side activities, the open world stuff, I mean, they've come a long way. Whether you love or hate them, they've come such a long way. That was the start of like sync points.
Yes.
The waypoint chasing on the map. Like there's so many ways with a remake you could reinvent AC1 and keep what is otherwise a pretty good story, pace it a little differently, get rid of some of the boring, repetitive side activities, improve the combat. Like I feel like that's obviously the best candidate, just an Assassin's Creed 1 remake, but I'm sure many people are thinking 2.
Of course, 2 arguably, people say to go. I mean, I think 1 and 2 are eligible. And again, I am biased. Those are the ones I gravitate towards the most. I would love a glow up with that to see, because I remember people forget at the time, that was generationally transforming what they were doing.
Yeah.
They're moving through the crowd and all the NPCs and kind of like a day-night cycle almost, but then obviously the rooftop and the perch and all that stuff and the animus. But it was truly a moment in gaming when that came out. And 1 and 2 are beloved. So to me, when you're flirting with Mirage, that tells me that that there's a core base that still wants the OGs.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me. So maybe you didn't execute it there, but maybe you give this the treatment and you follow a little Resident Evil formula, give us a little glow up, like you said, fix some little combat stuff, add a little extra context to story and stuff like that. And hey, I'm in for that. I'm all about the hoodie through the crowd. Like I'm all about that. So sign me up if you're going to do it.
I love that they're going to keep with the new entries as well.
Yes.
Just because that you mentioned is Resident Evil, and perfect comparison, because I like that Resident Evil is not forgetting to keep making new stuff. A lot of people complain about the remake era, but I think it's very hard to complain about it when you're getting new stuff on top of it. I think remakes are fine for certain games. I don't think everything needs to be remade, but no doubt that part of the fun of making games back then was we're making something out of a very limited infrastructure. Now gaming is so big, you technically can go unlimited in the term, not literally, but like unlimited in terms of budget, creativity. Like, what do you want? You can do it, right? And that allows people to achieve the original vision they had all those years ago. So that's why remakes are incredibly relevant beyond the dollars made. Is the creatives want to be able to do the thing that they weren't able to do all those years ago on today's technology. And I just like that Ubisoft is still going to hang with, the more current entries alongside remakes. Because for me, like, I love Assassin's Creed 3, but I love it after Sequence 6, right? When you get control of the assassin and everything. That's another game that's in that Dead Space 3 pocket. What a great candidate for a remaster of like, hey, this game's got some really good qualities to it. What happens if we try this again? And that would have been nice, but I imagine they're going to pick some of the hot stuff first. Like, do Assassin's Creed 2 after Black Flag. That'd be the smartest thing they could do. Or the whole Ezio trilogy. You do Revelation and Brotherhood as well. That'd be cool as hell too. All right, next up here, Cog. Star Wars Bounty Hunter is coming to Xbox on August 1st. All right, let's get into some details here, because what's really interesting about this is they are including a little bit of new content for this game. I'll get into that in a little bit. For those who have not played Star Wars Bounty Hunter, it takes place right before Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. And it was a PS2 GameCube game that was pretty much single-handedly responsible for carpal tunnel when I was a kid, because you would have to mash the square button or the B button to shoot your guns, and there was no holding to shoot, just mash, and unleash a bunch of blaster bolts. And it hurt to play. This is cool because it is coming to Xbox after 22 years, by the way.
Wow.
Problem is it's Aspire. And Aspire does not have a good reputation. Last outing from Aspire was Battlefront Classic Collection. And for those who didn't pay attention, that did not go over well. Now, the problem was said to be that they were doing Tomb Raider on top of it, and they got some help with that apparently, but that came out okay. Battlefront Classic Collection was announced in a similar way. Hey, it's here, it's coming, see you in a couple weeks. And people are like, whoa, really? No way. And then it the state of the game spoke for itself. Same thing's happening here. Game got announced, see you in a month. And when they were having trouble balancing 2 projects earlier, we didn't even know a third was in development. So I feel like I have good reason to be at least a little concerned about this game. Not just because, bad dev, but because they were already having trouble balancing 2, and we know they were working on a third the whole time, potentially. What do you make of this news? Are you excited for Bounty Hunter to come to Xbox August 1st? How trusting are you of Aspyr?
I think this should be relatively low lift. I'm not too worried. I mean, it's an existing property. Obviously it's supposed to be a glow up. I mean, God, was it 22 years? Damn, I didn't know this thing was not on it. Wow. So, not on Xbox. So coming there, they're going to get the glow up. Apparently, did they specify which new content that they're getting besides the visual enhancements?
That right now.
Yeah, because I'm curious about that. But in this case,
visuals and controls, a new skin, which is I think it's a Boba Fett skin,
right? Because this is the Jango Fett joint, right?
Yeah, this is the Jango Fett game.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, to me, it's hard pressed to mess up an old game of this. Like, what can you really do to blow it? If you mess this up, then, bro, what are we doing over here? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm not too worried about this one. I was actually surprised to see that it was coming. This is something that I didn't even know about. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad you put this in the news. I did not even know about this game, and I didn't know it was 22 joints that Xbox did have this game. So shout out to them for righting the wrong. Hopefully I got to wait this long for Marvel vs. Capcom too.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm gonna wait 22 years for some J. But now look, all jokes aside, yeah, I'm not too worried about this one for whatever reason. I mean, you educate me. I know Aspyr's not on your highest list there.
Not right now, no. I think people are really quick to leap all over Battlefront, which I think is fair, and I'm clearly in the same pocket. I think there's reason to be distrustful, but people also got to remember there was a time that like you saw Aspyr was doing the port, you're like, good, because they didn't over deliver, but they priced things fairly. Like you knew you were just going to get the game that you grew up with just on modern systems. Like they were good at porting, and that's all they were doing. They don't seem to be batting too hard for any new content. Like, okay, visuals, check. Controls, check. New skin, check. Okay, like that's not overdoing it. So obviously we saw with Battlefront Classic Collection how that can still get muddied up. And you look at the file size for installing it, for God's sakes. Like, it can get pretty intense. They've patched it since, and that's been good to see. I haven't tested it since. But yeah, look, when it comes to Bounty Hunter, this game was kind of like revolutionary for me growing up because the animation quality to this day is still fantastic. The side flips, back flips, the usage of the jetpack, the voice acting was really high. Like the presentation qualities in this game, I think were above pretty much everything else. And it's funny to see it never made its way to Xbox because Xbox is like the home to Star Wars. Like they had KOTOR, Republic Commando. Like they had all of these games, for example. Obi-Wan, I know that's not like a great one, but like Clone Wars. They had a bunch of them exclusively or in time deals. And they missed out on one of like the more prolific animation, like in the terms of production quality, ones that moved it forward the most, Star Wars games. So yeah, if anyone's wondering if you should check this out, provided the ports are good, I can confidently say, yeah, like these games are awesome. Really good stuff. So I'll be looking forward to checking that out August 1st. All right. Shadow of the Erdtree, despite the complaints, despite the patching, despite it all, 5 million copies sold at $40 a piece. I'm sure Bandai is very pleased with this one. That's, from our knowledge, potentially a quarter to a fifth of the install base for Elden Ring buying this DLC week 1. Gigantic success, dude. Unbelievable that on top of the DLC or on top of the base game, it wasn't just Zeitgeist. It carried over, and they got to be looking at this, licking their chops, thinking like when FromSoft delivers another big Souls-like game again, how well that might do for them. Very exciting to see and well-deserved. Cog, any thoughts on Shadow of the Erdtree hitting 5 million sales?
Wow. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous, man. Again, I just love to see the Souls community satiated, get what they want. I mean, like I said, the last 2 ILPs have literally been Shadow of the Erdtree ILP. It's been, we had Gene on about 2 weeks ago talking about it and, the cultural impact it's had and his builds and what's crazy. Obviously talk with Brad and, some of the sign of him, what he's doing. and how much he loves it. And then, you know, obviously with Cowboy. And one of the things that I even said, I was like, with this type of success, like, can you go back to a traditional Souls at it? Like, you've kind of hit the, you know what I'm saying, the jackpot with it. And it's just so cool to see. So yeah, this is amazing. This has got to win an award on some level. Like, this is just unbelievable. I mean, people are loving it so much that they want to even flirt with the idea that it could be considered for Game of the Year. That's how much people love this DLC. So salute to them, and salute to everybody in the community just coming together and making this a moment and really celebrating what they are. And salute to them. I always give them credit for sticking to their visions. Like, that is, I know they were under a lot of tremendous pressure to change. And Miyazaki's like, no, we doing this. This is for the most part what we're doing. So
absolutely. All right. Well, next up, COG, Flintlock Siege of Dawn. This is day one on Game Pass, releasing July 18th. And it has gone gold. They also released 20 minutes of gameplay. I took it a look over, and I'm going to be honest, I'll link it for you in case you missed it. I'm going to be honest, COG.
All right, break it down.
Not looking as sharp as the trailers, I think, depicted it. The frame rate's looking pretty rough in particular.
Oh, no. All right, let's see what's going on. I'm looking right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look very inspired. I don't know. I feel like I've seen this game a million times before.
Okay.
And I feel like the combat could feel good, but it just the frame rate, there's jank, and then this just looks like it needs a couple more months.
Really?
And it did get that indefinite delay for a while, so it must have been in a pretty sore spot beforehand, because I think it was supposed to come out in 2022. So I feel like this might be in the position of like, it just has to come out. I don't think it looks awful, just to be clear, but just to warn people that this might, I mean, for our audience, we already know they're going to go to Game Pass. But just keep that especially in mind with this game, because I think the frame rate in particular in this video, just it drops often. Like, running around drops, combat begins drops, first attack drops, any type of VFX on screen drops. Like, looks pretty inconsistent on that front. Gotcha. Keep that in mind. But are you excited for this nonetheless?
I like the concept of it. That's the thing. Like, I like I liked what I saw of it. But yeah, if I'm watching it right now, I'm not seeing it just yet, but okay, I see like a little stutter here and there. I see what you're saying. Okay.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they can work this out with that day one patch for release. That's what we can hope for at this point. But I like conceptually what it's about. I like what they try to do here. So we'll see. Pull it for them, but they got to fix the frame rate for sure.
All right. Last here, before we talk about what games are playing, Crazy Taxi update from SEGA. They say, quote, for the launch of a new large-scale online title, large-scale project, open-world, mass multiplayer driving game, we are looking for a lead designer. This is on their job listings. Using the latest Unreal Engine, you will participate in a project that aims to be a global hit, mainly in the North American market, end quote. So it's AAA, large-scale, open-world, mass multiplayer. We have the write-in here from Neo JD. This is mostly for COG, but Maddie, feel free to chime in. According to SEGA, the new Crazy Taxi game will be an open-world, massively multiplayer AAA game. Is this a good call? Thanks, and have a Maddie. When I checked out your review of the newest Trails game, I didn't actually expect to end up playing Marvel Strike Force instead. Why did you introduce me to this weird little game? You got me, you son of a bitch, type of day. Hey, don't say those ads don't work, y'all. They do. It's a good game, though. I played that game a lot, especially when I graduated college. Like, I was playing that thing daily. It's an awesome mobile game, especially if you like Marvel stuff. Anyway, all that aside, COG, Sega Kid, talk to me. How are we feeling about Crazy Taxi being a massively multiplayer, open world AAA game?
Yeah. That was the Offspring, Jay. It was at the beginning. Look, I'm a Crazy Taxi dude. Yes, this is Dreamcast. Oh, this is my heart. I gotta be honest. I think this might be the move. And I'm gonna tell you why. Let me break it down. I know my Crazy Taxi friends are like, whoa, Sega, don't do this. What are we doing? But if we are honest with ourselves, if you look at Crazy Taxi to its core, it's a simple game. It's drive to a passenger, pick them up, go through the city, drop them. Like, if we really want in a one-to-one loop of that, that's a mini game in infinite wealth right now. Like literally a mini game. Like, I'm on a pizza bike delivering things to people, dropping stuff. Like, That's not real gameplay. What got people have to be honest with Crazy Taxi in the sense that it was a graphical showpiece for its time. The hills, the music, the sound, and you just having fun. You got a little timer, but it's basic gameplay. It ain't nothing revolutionary here.
You're so a timer.
Yeah, there's a part of me that says, I know my Sega purists are frowning. I know, fix your face. I get it, y'all. My face is almost scrunched up too. Like, what are we doing? Hold on. It's not what we thought. But I will say this, and maybe my Nintendo fans can help you out. There's a similar game, well, not similar, but something in the same ilk with F-Zero. F-Zero had did at one of the latest directs, and I'm an F-Zero guy. They said, hey, we're doing F-Zero 99 multiplayer. What are you doing? No, I was in the camp. This is not the right move. Give us F-Zero in its purest form. Maddie, I am not going to hold you. I played that F-Zero 99. Me and Jeff, I was like, yo, this has got a fire. Because it had all the people in it, the elements of people dropping and dropping out, the competitive aspect. So I feel you got to do something new with Crazy. If you give us base Crazy Taxi, Sega kids, you know, you gonna be bored after an hour gameplay. Come on, like just dropping someone off at a timer.
Was it always the same? I've not played Crazy Taxi for the record. So was it always the same?
Simple.
Like I have Crazy Taxi 3. Like, is that the same as Crazy Taxi 1?
On a base level, it's simple. It ain't nothing revolutionary here.
You didn't add like any mini games or anything?
Yeah, they got little stuff here and there. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the average attention span of today's gamer with those style of games. It almost reminds me of like Outrun back in the day. And it's like, okay, Outrun was simple. You know, you drive, you get chicken in the Corvette or whatever. You get to the next checkpoint, your next checkpoint. These are arcade type games. Very short bursts, boom. But in today's climate, we have to be honest. If you don't give someone else a hook, that's not going to work. That's not gonna, people are going to be like, okay, this could have been on mobile or something. Like if you're going to just do that. So that's why I'm telling people, let's see what they do first. I'm not willing to, at first, yes, my face was like, well, what are we doing? Yeah. But I'm willing to see it out because if you put multiplayer, maybe they got something cool on a community level that people are doing, or you're picking up people or something, competing, doing something. You have to add another layer to base Crazy Taxi. Just base giving us that, like, So I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay. I may be a dissenting opinion here with the Sega community, but we'll see.
No, I respect the take. I think from what I know, it sounds like you're spitting facts, but I've also not played much of the game, so no comment from me. Thank you for the writing, Neo. That's it for the news. Let's talk about what games we are playing, Cog. You are having a bit of a conundrum, as you alluded to earlier, so let's talk it out. What's going on?
So I pop out of my head of gremlin mode destiny. Hey, you know, I'm trying to be a better person. I have this drug addiction. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. You know, they dropped Excision, the Grandmaster version of what I call the Infinity or Endgame style mission that is 12. It is phenomenal. I just did that. So I'm like, okay, I got the base stuff done. Season is now going on, but now I can slowly peel the layer, just slowly. It's still got to suck on me weekly, but slowly peel the layer. So I'm like, all right, what we got? We got a lot of stuff. We got Clear, we got stuff we got to finish. We got Dogma, we got all. I'm like, oh snap. There's 2 demos out of games that I'm highly interested in. I had my eye on. So let's start with Path to the Goddess first. So Path to the Goddess is the Capcom joint. And I remember seeing it. And I was like, okay, little mystical swordsman, you know, very Japanese inspired, very artistic, free flowing. And you got the little goddess doing the thing. And I'm like, all right, what's this? I want to know what it's about. So I get that. I'm like, funny, I had a conversation with Jeff Grubb. He was like, Cog, it's not what you think it's going to be. And I'm like, but he said in a good way. So while I'm playing this game, I fire it up. And apparently, I didn't even realize the main protagonist is female. SOH, I didn't even know because she's masked. The character's masked. The swordman who's the protector of the goddess, right? So you start off, now the game start off side scrolling, right? So you got your little thing, you're moving, and they're teaching you the mechanics. So it's like, okay, you're in the town. So all my Ghostwire Tokyo guys, you're going to immediately see the Torii Gate and you're going to know, okay, the evil is coming from the Torii Gate at the end of the town. Before this starts, it's like a day-night cycle, right? You walk around in real time, purifying all the areas of the town. Now, when you do that, that's going to allow two things to happen. One, you free up villagers who are corrupted by this defilement, right? You free them up, and then it turns into like turn-based defense mode where but in a cool way. Like you do that, and then you say, okay, what are you going to be? I'm going to make you a woodcutter. I'm going to make you a talisman sorcerer kind of thing. Okay. And basically this is all during the day. And then you can move them and be like, okay, I want the woodcutter to be that he's good against like hitting against the Japanese inspired yokai kind of demon creatures and a very evil kind of. For my SEGA kids who, there's this game called Consaden that I rave about. It was the only game that ever scared me as a kid because it was my first introduction to Japanese style horror. These are very weird creatures and things of that nature. Again, my Ghostwire Tokyo stuff. And these villagers, now that you free them from defilement, you can now place them in strategic parts of the town and then assign them roles. So the woodcutters, they can hit hard. Talismans can slow the enemy. Your whole goal, no one can get to the goddess. She cannot fight. And the game will warn you, yo, they're on her. Like you better. So you move around in real time. Beautiful attacks, XXY, all these different combos, very flow. And then she does this brush thing when you're purifying areas of the thing. So it's a flowing, cool kind of thing. That camera, I don't know about this camera. Because here's the thing, it's side scrolling, but then if you see like up a hill, you can go into 3D and it's strange. This game is just strange in the coolest way. It's just not what you expect. So I'm like, all right. So then I'm noticing there's a day-night cycle. So now they're like, yo, the Torii gates, I think the enemy race is called the Seethe or whatever it is, these demons. So the gate open. All right. So now it's on. So now here's the cool thing. You can fight them in real time.
Yeah.
You press right bumper. You can move your villagers that you feel that's going to help out protect the goddess with you into different places of the map. And then they'll move in turn based on what you commanded them to do.
Interesting.
So it's you in real time, they in turn base.
Wow.
And then the goddess, you don't have no control of her. She basically, she moves slowly and she'll let you know through an indicator if the path of defilement is clear enough that she can move up into this space. And, she'll let you know her set determined space. I guess your goal is to get her through each part of the town till you get to the gate, and then she eventually will do the cleansing ceremony of the thing. But if there's any defilement, she can't move forward. And the longer you take, the more bosses and things can happen to you. But anyway, long story short, so this was a funny thing. So I'm setting things up, right? I'm noticing the guys that I made, like the spiritual talisman guys, they're slowing the enemies from getting to. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I keep getting a warning. Yo, the goddess is under attack. I'm like, how? Like, I got everybody set up in front of the gate. Like, y'all not. So there's a path that the monsters was going around to the other side. I said, oh no. So I'm rushing back to the goddess, defending her. So then in real time, now I'm in turn-based mode. I press right bumper. I'm like, yo, woodcutter, I'm going to put you over here. You defend the goddess while I go back up front. So it's this push-pull thing going on. Then you can upgrade them, give them crazy more abilities. I got stuff where they can now attack twice, but then they got this thing where their line of sight is better. There's more. The demo doesn't give you all the different archetypes of people you can get too. They let you only play with 2, but there's way more. And each time you kill enemies, they drop these little spirit things that you could use to upgrade the town and stuff. The only thing that frustrated me, Capcom, it was just one time when she's like halfway through the town. I'm like, why won't she advance to the front? What is wrong with her? So when you finding these defilements in the game, make sure you go around the entire town. You got to move the camera around. And there was one bit of defilement thing that I didn't purify, and it was slowing her progress to go through. Mm-hmm. So very unique game. I will say it's very cultural. It feels like this is based on some type of religious something. That's just my feel. This just seems, that's what's so cool about it. Remember I told you when we talk about diverse game, like there's something just a coolness to it. Yeah. But this not going to be for everyone. This is a COG game for sure, because it's real time mixed with a little of this thing. And then what it is I guess this is her path. This is one town from the mountain. Then you can set up a base at the end of it's like the gameplay loop was then at the end. Now we can upgrade her. We do all these things. And then also while she's in the fight, she's like empowering the villagers and she's doing things and making flowers grow. And it's a thing. Like, it's a seance. I can't describe this game. You need to play. I highly advise. It's the weirdest but coolest thing going. So
I like that there isn't like one single way of describing it. Like, it sounds wholly unique.
There is nothing like
tower
this.
Defense? Is that kind of what it is? When
I guess,
let's say that the goddess is a moving tower?
Yeah, she's a moving entity. The only thing you could tell her to do is stop. You'd be like, don't go any. Great goddess, don't move forward. You stay here and I will clear some more. But the game will give you an indicator of where she will end up based on what you have done to that point.
Okay.
And again, I like the push-pull of real time versus right bumper pause and then strategize and make sure guys are where they need to be and upgrade. And then the end game, now you've cleaned that time. It looks completely transformed. It's animals, it's villagers. Then she gets a base.
Is it like stage based or is it kind of?
Yeah, it's definitely stage based. Okay. So each town is like a little stage. But then like you see, when I looked at the map, like you're at the top of this mountain, there's all these different paths and places you could go. Okay. So I'm curious to see the longevity of the loop, how more go. But they're very limiting to you right now as far as the things and the villages you get. But it looks like it could get deep. But the potential is cool. So keeping my eye on. So far, so good for Path of the Gods. Definitely not one. The demo's probably about. They let you go about to the second town. So about like 3-4 hours. They ain't letting you rock that long.
3 hours for a demo? That's pretty long.
Yeah, but it's really you strategizing and learning stuff. Because I will say the tutorial is very helpful. Yeah. They are really trying. The only thing I just got mad is when she wouldn't move forward, and I'm like, they like carved the path. And you put the sword through the ground and do this split thing to par it for her. I'm like, why isn't the option available? And I had to find some defilement in the corner of a town that she clearly didn't like that I didn't see or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much it. But so that's the first game. But so again, Path of the that's coming out soon. I'm like, oh man,
July 16th or something like that.
Got but like a week or two before this drop. Yep. So that's coming, and that's a Game Pass joint. So I'm like, all right, cool. It solidified it for me though. I like it now. All right. Now the second one, The Altars. Another demo drop. It's on Steam right now. I've been playing it on the Ally a lot right now. Bro, this is cool. Now this
game looks really good.
Bro, let me tell you from the beginning, graphically, threw me off. Didn't expect it to look this good. So you start off like crash pod on this alien planet, some real sci-fi. Oh my, almost a little Mass Effect with the environments as far as landing on a planet. The game is this, what is it, 11-bit? Whoever this studio, they are punching above their weight with how this looks. So you little guy, you jump out the pod, you're trying to figure out where you're alive. Where's the rest of your entire crew? Because I guess this was an expedition to go to some planet. Your pod is safe, you come down, then you start finding people, all their pods is deceased. But you like, yo, they're alive inside, so they had to die from the inside. You can't figure out what's going on. So the cool thing is basically it looks like you're going to be lumbering, but he's really quick. If you hold down right trigger, your man is booking it, unlike Starfield. I got to throw a shot at Starfield on this one, because Starfield run in the beginning was, he be out on these planets. So you're on this alien world, you're looking at the planets, you're jumping around. Then you get to what I guess it looks like a unicycle. You know, like a unicycle. Yeah. So it's like a singular circular ship that's your base that got there. The ship got there. The pods, not all of them didn't make it, but whatever. So you try to figure out what's going on. Why is all the crews dead? What's going on there? You get there, some distress signal. And I guess the reason for the mission was there's a food shortage on Earth or something like that. You're searching the Great Frontier, but it's very scientific, very cool. Now, when you get inside the base, it goes side-scrolling. Mm-hmm. Again, graphics for AA and pushing above their weight. Very cool. Now, that part of the base is very XCOM and Fallout Shelter-y. So you got your comms room, you got storage, you got where you sleep, cabin, whatever. So as you're going on, the game is really teaching you slowly the mechanics and then what to do. So you got to find this resource. I think it's called, I forgot, Rapedium or something like that. As you get on, then you start to figure out, okay, another one, day-night cycle. Mm. At night, a lot of the radiation, stuff like that. You control how long you sleep, when you sleep, and all that stuff. Resources, hunger, all that stuff plays a play. But here's where the game just... Then it's like, all right, we can't do everything as one person here. It's the way. So then you start fiddling and experimenting in this the science room thing. So you come up with the idea of cloning yourself. So with the cloning of yourself, you look at it's your life, and you look at parts. Okay, Maddie, at this point, he could have been a content creator, or he could have been a mechanic. So I'm going to clone the mechanic lifestyle of what Maddie would be to bring him in because I need a mechanic. Oh, you got a botanist. You know what? Because we need to research because everything's about getting materials on this world to try to, one, get to your, fuel your escape, to stay alive for health, and then also to communicate to other people outside. I'm assuming you could go to other locations, but right now, and then for demo purposes, I'm at this one. So you start bringing in you start cloning yourselves. This is you, right? And these other versions of you. Yo, Maddie, why one of these dudes I made a mechanic, right? So I had him out there mining, doing stuff, getting materials. My arm's bothering me. So I'm like, all right. And then, bro, they got emotional states. They could get combative. They could start messing stuff up in the face. It's bad. Then I had dudes was like, two of my cells was like, yeah, it must be nice for you. Because I was like, why the emotional state is all angry and depressed and it must be nice for you. You sleep in that cabin bed. And then I walk through the base. They sleeping on the floor.
Oh.
So they sitting there like, yeah, but how about you research? Like, I'm like, okay, I got y'all. I'm going to make a dormitory. And it's all about managing them, going out resources, doing stuff. I guess the boring part makes some people not going to like the going out the resource part, but it's in real time third person in that exploring. Graphics look good. I know combat didn't sort, but you have to deal with the environmental dangers and stuff like that. And it's resource. So this is satiating the hardcore XCOM guys.
Okay.
Mass Effect, little role playing in person, and they got the cinemas with the BioWare style with the choices, bro. Yeah. Where the emotional states of you, bro, alters. I know it's early, but y'all got something. And bro, let me tell you about the mechanic. So in his past life, he lost his arm. I cloned him back. He got an arm. He out here having psychological problems. Like he think he's still in pain with his arm. Then he like, yo, bro, what's up? But remember, you could give me some of them narcotics though to help me with the pain. Why this man end up becoming a druggie on my watch? You gotta ration out whether or not you gonna keep giving him more drugs or he gonna get extra Maddie, this game is fine. I ain't even gonna hold you. I was like the foundation.
I forgot what showcase was announced out. I remember it was like the standout to us. We were both like, this looks really good. I'm
like, why are all these? So I got Altars, Path of the Goddess, Still Wakes the Deep. Bro, like it's too much right now. That is like Game Pass is type cooking on if you love. Again, that's why I don't pay nobody with this. It's no games nonsense. There were tons of games. Y'all got to play these joints, bro. Altars seem fire. I got to see if the long-term gameplay loop stands up. Yeah. But as it stands right now, I could not stop playing it. And I got that and Path of the Goddess. So I'm in trouble. There's a lot of games again. Here we go.
I'm very excited for the Altars. So
yes, highly recommend you try this, Manny.
Okay,
highly.
Yeah, it's one I want to look at, but I know the release date's in 2024. It doesn't have an official date to my knowledge.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know, right?
Take time, please. I need time to play.
Well, that means it's just shaping up. The longer they take, the deeper in the year it goes, right? So
yeah, and what I do like is the fact that these companies are giving out demos. To me, shows a little bit of a confidence in the product, right? And wanting to get more aware. And I like that, especially if it's but I will say they're doing something so unique, just the whole space continuum, the whole, what is it? The ship of Thesis, if it's you, if it's not you, like are the clones the real? Like it's a depth to it. And the game really, really looks well. So again, I'm playing it on, it's not the demo of Path of Goddess is on Xbox. Unfortunately, Altars demo is Steam right now, from my understanding. I don't think it's Xbox yet, but I've been playing on my Ally, so I'm not sure if it's out. But yeah, man, I had to shout them out. I was just like, nah, Altars, okay, I see you.
Yeah, they are doing 11-bit is doing Frostpunk 2. It's funny that this game is here. I know nothing about it, but there's this game called Thaumaturge, which it says a story-driven RPG with morally ambiguous choices taking place in a culturally diverse world of early 20th century Warsaw. In this world, saluters exist, esoteric beings that only thaumaturges can truly perceive and use for their needs. And I was about to buy it on the Steam sale, but now seeing it's from the developers like Frostpunk, the Altars looks amazing. This War of Mine is another one. It's like, okay, this company actually, they mean business, bro. So yeah. I think I might check that out as sort of a little in-betweener leading into the altars. I'm debating between that and Banished Path of Eden, because everyone continues to tell me, like Locke is especially like, dude, Maddie, I know you love Vampire. You will love this game. And it's like, I really want to check it out.
Well, you got the Locke cosign.
The Locke cosign goes a long way with me. He knows my taste better than me sometimes.
Salute Locke. That's the man. Finally get a chance to podcast with him like 2 times in a row. Yeah, that's the man right there. Salute the Locke.
For me, I've been playing some random stuff. Let's start off with the newer one, because talked about this a lot at the opening part of the year, but it's more relevant to the audience now. So we have some write-ins. Neighbor writes, "Hey Maddie, Trails Through Daybreak question here. Can be played without knowledge of previous games. I want to get into the series, but I'd love to start with this brand new one." So yeah, I've been playing Trails Through Daybreak, which for those who don't know, when I talked about it at the top of the year, I was playing the Japanese version with an English patch. Kuro no Kiseki, you may have heard me reference as the Japanese name because sometimes it just rolls off the tongue a little bit. But yeah, Trails Through Daybreak's out. My review, which you pretty much already knew my thoughts, but it's out on Retro Rebound if anyone wants to check that out for the full breakdown. So I've been messing around with the now English version of it. And one of the big concerns going in for myself and other Trails fans is, I'll just say, Aaron Way is one of the most unhinged party members I've ever experienced in a video game ever. Hilarious guy, just a lot, but he'll say some shit that you'll go, what? They let him say that? Like, he's got that type of energy, bro. This, like, you know, that friend that you take some places, and I don't know if you've ever seen the meme or the joke where it's like, you know, when someone holds you at gunpoint and you're with your bro and they're walking away without taking anything, and then he goes, yeah, that's what I thought afterwards.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah, that's Aaron Way. Yeah, like the guy who's always got to get the last word in. He's always got something wise to say. He's unhinged in this game. And many of us thought that with the English localization, that they would, I'll just say, tone him down a little bit. NISA elevated this guy. He's saying some wild shit that's not even the Japanese version. Like, it's unbelievable. I was like, wow, they saw this and said, well, he can say that. Oh, well, let's do this. Let's have him say that too. I don't even want to ruin it. I just want to let everyone know. Yeah, when it comes to localization, the fan base is very pleased. Very pleased. Everyone was worried about Mr. Way. But do not worry. All is good. So to answer your question, neighbor, just real quick. Okay, you start with this one. This is the age-old Trails question. Anytime I sit down to review a Trails game on Retro Rebound, can I play this? Can I play this? Can I play this? There are very few good starting points. I would say, obviously, the best is Sky 1, which I've talked about ad nauseum, right? Like, this is a series that has all the entries available on pretty much modern consoles outside of Xbox, unfortunately, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, you know, Sky is only on PC. That's the best starting point, right? Sky FC, just get into it, start from the very beginning, get on that journey. Then there's Trails from Zero, which is the start of a new arc. And that's my personal second favorite in the franchise. That's another good starting point. And it's also worth mentioning that Trails Through Daybreak leans heavily into Trails from Zero. So there's that one. Then there's Cold Steel, which is another decent starting point. And now we have the start of a new saga in Daybreak. So the answer to your question is, can you play it without knowledge of previous games? Yes, you could. Will you get the most out of it? Definitely not. As someone who loves Trails from Zero, that feeling of watching them just pull these threads from like 6 games ago. Not saying that they just sit on these points, by the way. The story moves in its own way consistently. But to see them just be like, yeah, remember that? Just pull that in. See how relevant it is now? Like, oh, wow. Master storytellers, bro.
Dope.
This is my favorite Trails game in the series. And if this is going to be the game that gets y'all into the thing I've been fucking word vomiting about for like 2 years now on the show, let it be this one. It is incredible combat. I think the series already had incredible combat, but this is some of the best turn-based combat. If you like what you saw with Metaphor ReFantazio, this is the game that broke that ground first with the mixture between action and turn-based combat. They have that here. It is incredible. They also have like I forgot the name of it, but like a real-time communicator who's going to be like yelling out weaknesses like that one's weak to fire, but like in the middle of you like moving around the arena. it's some of the best in class turn-based combat. Now, the story would be best in class if you've played all the entries leading into this. However, if you don't, I think it's self-contained enough that you will appreciate a lot of it. But what you will not take away from it is things like, of course, the connections, but also, like, for me as a big Trails fan, I've been asking for a while, like, get dark with it. Kill some people. Like, do some meaningful shit here. This world can't always be, it's not happy and cheery. It's a fucked up world at times, but Trails has no problem indulging in the little happy pastimes and all that stuff. It's, at times I'm like, I'll just say there was a moment in Reverie that really pissed me off. I'm like, you guys got to start pulling the trigger. Like, kill someone, for God's sakes, kill someone.
I can't.
They heard me.
They heard you.
Yeah, Trails to Daybreak is massively different in tone. Not just with guys like Aaron Way who say what they want to say, but like the worldview. Your protagonist, like you had Reen Schwarzer for 5 games before this. Reen Schwarzer is like your typical anime boy harem, like, oh, was that me? Like itching his head as every girl swoons for. Yeah, that sort of thing. Like he's got that anime guy energy. And I love Reen. He's my favorite protagonist, but like, yeah, he's good. You've seen this man before, for sure. But the way they evolve him in the later games is what makes him different. But you definitely, first 2 games, you're like, man, I've seen this protagonist like 80 other things. Now, with that in mind, Van Arkride is, he is on the path to being best series protagonist. This man only cares about his job and his car. He's willing to do what he has to do to get the job done, including killing. And he's got a really good backstory, as do really the entire cast of this game. So I think it's self-contained enough you can get into it and play it, but please go back. Don't let this be like, yeah, I'm a Trails Through Daybreak guy or gal. It doesn't work like that. Falcom will make you feel foolish at one point down the road if you go down that path. I'll just play the new releases from now on. Like, no, because you'll even see if you play Daybreak and go back. The thing hardcore Trails fans never share with people is like, they're always like, you gotta start from the beginning. And I'm like, that's true, but there are a ton of starting points. And if someone gets in, they still get that feeling of return on investment when you see that thing that got you into it and what led up to it and the things that you didn't even notice were happening before your very eyes. Like, oh, that's where that came from. That's where that started. That's how this appeared. Like, it gets you completely invested. And I said this at the end of my Retro Rebound review. I'll say it here. This is not a call out, by the way, because I know you're a live service guy. But I saw it resonate with a lot of people in the comment section. And a lot of people tell me all the time, like, man, the Trails looks great. I just don't got the time for that.
The commitment.
A lot of you are frauding, and I'm tired of hearing it. Some of you don't have the time, and I respect it. A lot of you, though, are like, yeah, I don't got the time, but I play like 80 hours of Destiny a week.
Oh, damn, this is a shot.
Yeah, sorry, this is not you. I did use it as an example because I know you'll never play Trails. I would never expect you to play Trails, but that's why I clarified. It's not a shot at you.
I respect it.
Some people are like, I don't got the time, as they're in a long-term relationship with Destiny, as they continue to do what I did, sink hours upon hours into MOBAs. I don't got the time. You got the time. If you got the time for live service, you got the time for this game. Why don't you take the live service energy and put it into something that's doing something no other series is doing, right? Every other series is rebooting, restarting, remaking, and you got one right here that's answering all of your biggest wishes. Man, why are developers so scared of continuity and continuing a series? Why do they all feel the need to restart? Hello? 12 entries later, here we are. Wake up, people. Drop the live service games. Yeah, it's like it's like more like a 300-hour adventure combined.
That part.
Like, you're not going through it at that rate. You know what got me into getting to play Final Fantasy 14? I realized there's no quick way around it. Just like there's no quick way into a live service game, there's no quick way into anything that we really love that has some sort of catalog. There's no quick way into Star Wars. There's no quick way into Marvel catching up to Endgame. There's no quick way. You just do it over time. Same thing here. You don't got to get to Daybreak tomorrow. You can start Sky and take a whole fucking year or two. That's part of the fun of the series. Like, I did it over the course of a year and I had a blast. I took all my live service hours. I quit League of Legends and I put it into Trails, right? That's what I did. And it equaled out fine. You see how many games I review. I still find the time. I know this is my living, so I understand and acknowledge that. But I also don't game during the day. So my time to game is limited more than it's ever been, especially working on the game as well.
Facts.
So I'm just throwing it out there, y'all. I don't want to plead too hard and become annoying, but for the love of God, if you're a live service bro or sis out there and you hit me with that, I don't got the time. You got the time. You just got bad priorities. All right? Let's call it as it is. Dave Ramos is our second write-in, and I'll talk about the other game I'm playing. Hey, Dukes, and more so Maddie on this one with the recent news about possible Trails in the Sky remasters and remakes. Are we hopeful this series finally makes its way to Xbox? Also, with Xseed having the publishing rights to Sky, do we see these games leaving PC in the West? Xseed had the rights to Cold Steel 1 and 2, and while the Japanese ports exist on Switch, Xseed has yet to bring these ports to the West. Will Sky get the same treatment as Cold Steel by Xseed when it comes to new ports? If so, could NISA step in and ensure these make it to the West? So yeah, Kondo, the head of Toshihiro Kondo, the head of Falcom, has done literally everything but confirm on a level of like an announcement trailer that something is happening with Sky. There are direct interview quotes suggesting that this panel coming up in July with some of the Trails Through Daybreak actors is going to have some sort of announcement. Now, it's already leaked that Trails Through Daybreak 2 is coming to the West. And presumably it's coming next year because Trails Through Daybreak came out this year. Last year was Reverie. They've been doing annualized Trails releases. And that's a really quick turnaround, meaning that the West is going to catch up really fast to where Japan is. And that could mean worldwide releases. But when asked about Sky in particular, remasters, remakes, re-releases, ports, that sort of thing, he's been very coy and like highly suggestive something's happening. What it is, no one knows. But I think for those who are also really curious to get in from the beginning, you might not have to wait long to get your answer to my understanding of these interviews. Now, when it comes to coming to Xbox, I think I get why they only do PlayStation and Switch. That is where their base is. But I really think Xbox would be good for them. This is an area where Game Pass by exposure would pay dividends for a franchise. If Xbox get the stage and be like, we have all 10 Trails games on Game Pass right now, that's a head turner because it's like, why does this series have 10 games? It's like when they came out and they, not to this level, of course, but it's like how I felt when they went out and said, we're bringing all Final Fantasy games to Game Pass. Now, I know they didn't drop them all at once, but that was a moment. It's like, oh shit, the series is going to have all of these at once. Cool. Now, some left, some stayed. We know what Game Pass is now, so I think the announcement would hit different. But this is a series that has the quality, has had the quality outside of one game in the series I just don't like. But it's had the quality. It's just no one really knows about it. And it needs that exposure. And I think Game Pass would be huge for Falcom if they could swing the resources. This is a small team of under 100 people, somehow bouncing between East and Trails. I don't know how the fuck they do it. It's insane. They're the definition of doing a lot with a little. They really are. I think a lot of developers, I mean, a lot do take notes from them with their ideas, but a lot could take notes from their managerial point of view. Still, will Sky get the same treatment as Cold Steel? I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. I think Cold Steel 1 and 2 coming to Switch makes sense, but they got to figure out something with Xseed if they can. Otherwise, though, they're going to do something with Sky. A lot of people think they're going to remake Sky because that is going to be the way to get around Xseed. So maybe that's what they have to do. You can live without a Switch port, but having Sky not be like that, you have everything from Zero on available on PlayStation and Switch. That's not right. You don't have the beginning 3 games in your series available on modern systems. That's a tough sell, and they know that. So they figured something out clearly. What it is, we don't know. But when it comes to it arriving on Xbox, I don't know. I hope it does. I think it would be really good for them, but I don't think it's anytime soon because the series is just now gaining mainstream traction. Like big outlets are reviewing it finally. This used to be that kind of game series.
So like a really in the cut joint in a way.
Yeah. It used to never get covered. Success. Yeah. It never got covered. Like it just, that's the thing that I always tell people. It made its way through word of mouth through 20 years. Wow. Doesn't that tell you anything? Doesn't that make you want to, as a JRPG fan, if you like, doesn't that make you want to try it? Like this series lived and died by word of mouth from its fan base. That's unbelievable. And that it transcended all these generations. It's so good. I just hope people check it out. So yeah, if you're interested in starting your journey, Trails Through Daybreak is well worth it.
Daybreak is the joint.
Now, I finished up Shadow of the Erdtree, as many know already. And I when I finished it, this final boss in Erdtree was so fucking annoying. And all I heard was like, well, he's might be the hardest they've ever made. But there's one gentleman at the end of Sekiro that may have a thing to say about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I will not name names just in case anyone's not playing it. But I was like, you know what? Let me fire Sekiro up. Let's give this a try. This is the one that should have clicked with me all those years ago. I'll remember always Activision gave me my review code. And I played it and I didn't make any sort of coverage of it. Why? Because I knew something was wrong with me, not the game. And I didn't think that was fair. I was like, something's not clicking here. And I dropped it. I think it was because we were just getting a lot of FromSoft at that point, but also for me at least, I like the RPG elements in their game. I like the number crunching. I like the build crafting. I like the sort of tweaking based on the boss. Where Sekiro is more like, it honestly felt this. I did not get filtered. Like I beat Genichiro and dropped the game. I was like, this feels like everything's a means to an end, which is a stupid take. It's like, I know I'm going to figure this boss out within a dozen or so tries. Nothing really stumped me for too long. And it's just a matter of like getting the right run, which is what these games are all about. But that was my deduction back then. Again, why I didn't make the video, because I was just like, it's me. I'm having a problem with nothing here. I'm having a problem with what the game is and what I want it to be. I tried it a little bit later. I think I got to Genichiro again. I was like, no, I'm just not feeling it. So I went away from it for a while, just kind of assuming like this would be it. And then one of my best friends played it through. He plays a decent amount of games, but he's kind of like a newer FromSoft head. Like he's kind of new to the genre. He tried Elden Ring, hated it. Does not like Elden Ring. But really like Dark Souls, and then played Sekiro, and it's his favorite game ever now. Okay. One of my other best friends who's helping me work on my own video games, like, this is the game he plays to relax. He's that good at Sekiro now, which I'm like, dude, you're so cringe. I'm like, you're relaxing on one of the hardest games. He's like, thoughts I play this
chill downtime.
Yeah, hit me with that, like,
in the mix of fire.
Yeah, thoughts I play this to wind down. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude. Congrats.
Bedtime game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got everyone in my friend group who's like, this game's amazing. Brad loves it. You know, Dustin loves it. Like Gene loves it. Everyone loves Sekiro. I'm like,
Cowboy.
It's a me thing. I was like, let me try it again. Like this time, slate reset, new game. It's been enough years where I remember Genichiro, but that's really it. Let's try it again.
All right, let's go.
It's clicking finally. I don't even know what to put the finger on what's happening here. Like what is clicking? But I really think I don't know. That's the thing. It's just like finally it feels good to me. I think I'm accepting it for what it is. Like I think I'm coming onto it at the perfect time, right? Like I'm coming off of this annoying number crunchy thing, and it's like remember what I was saying last week about Erdtree's final boss? I was like, I think they got a little carried away. And I feel a little more affirmed by that going into Sekiro, because I'm like, oh, this is balanced. Well, this is really like, you're not breaking the rule set at all. I like this a lot. I love this, in fact. So for those who want to know where I'm at, I beat Genichiro again. And I also beat Lady Butterfly. I beat her on my second try, which I was like, and that's when I think I felt something, right? Because this is like, I'm developing my thoughts still. No doubt I'll make a video on this at some point. But when I beat Lady Butterfly second try, that feeling of like, oh, fuck yeah. I haven't gotten that in a while. I haven't gotten that feeling. Like, I got it a couple times in Shadow of the Erdtree, but otherwise that like, ooh, I beat this boss in a new way and I felt really talented for doing it. Like I mentioned earlier, you've played these FromSoft games for so long. I'm familiar with their game. They're familiar with mine. And it's always about like who can beat one another out, right? Like From Software has learned and evolved. That's why if you go into like Dark Souls 1, if you played these games before, Dark Souls 1 is a breeze. It's just considerably easier. But you go into Elden Ring, like they know the tricks and tips and all this stuff that you learn, and they adapt to that. So it's like a back and forth, endless chess game. But now Sekiro is like this new wrinkle. Like I have to play differently. Like I have to deflect. I have to dodge. I have to jump off people's heads. I have to Mikri counter. And that feeling of reading the boss, like this is the first game I played in a while where like I could have talked my people's ear off while playing Elden Ring. No problem, right? Not saying it's the easiest game in the world. Shadow of the Erdtree was really tough, but like it was not a game I had to dial in for. Oh, when I'm in a boss fight, the house could be on fire. I don't care. Nothing's stopping me. Nothing's stopping me. Only problem I really had with the game, I know it's a very brief segment. I died a bunch because I was having a skill issue, but the white snake area with the stealth elements, I'm like, come on, man. Like, I just want to kill shit. Like, I don't want to stealth in this game at all. I also don't like some of the run backs in this game because some of them, the best way to approach them is the stealth segments. And it's kind of shitty to die and then repeat, like waiting on the rooftop, stabbing and killing this guy, hiding behind the wall, stabbing and killing this guy, and doing that all over again. And it forces you to be patient in a way that I don't think feels fun. That's really my only, I think, legitimate complaint. Everything else, though, has been spectacular. And I'm so happy it's finally clicking for me. Like, I'm so happy to finally just be like, yeah, I enjoy Sekiro. Like, that's a good thing to be able to say. I'm so tired of being at the ass end of the conversation. Like, Maddie, have you played Sekiro? No, actually, in fact, I didn't like it much. It's so nice to actually play it and authentically, like, hey, and I tried twice. Like, I really could have just walked away from this and let it be that. Yeah. But I think just that deflection, like when I'm going sword on sword with Genichiro or Lady Butterfly, she's like doing her kicks. You know what? I found out this mental game. My friend taught me about it. And I think this was the other click factor for me. Sekiro is a turn-based game. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? He's like, perfect deflect, your turn. They perfect deflect you, it's their turn. And when he did that, I was like, all right, let me go. I was fighting Genichiro when he said that. Like, all right, let me go in there. Bro. I always joked that Sekiro was a rhythm game. I always said, oh, I already played Persona 4 Dancing all night. Like, I'm good. That was my disrespectful way of disregarding Sekiro.
Very disrespectful, sir.
But, hey, Persona 4 Dancing all night is a great game. But Sekiro as a turn-based game is a mentality I've never heard. And when I played it like that, I was like, this is fucking amazing. And then it made me start thinking of Souls-likes differently because I'm trying to sell him on Lies of P. I'm like, all right, if Sekiro is turn-based, I said Lies of P is strategy. Because sometimes you're Dark Souls, sometimes you're Bloodborne, sometimes you are Sekiro, sometimes you're build crafting, sometimes you're elemental weakness targeting. It's up to you to figure that out. I was like, damn, this genre just got a little deeper for me. And that's a cool feeling. So I'm late to the party, but happy nonetheless to be enjoying a little Sekiro. This game has been awesome. And I am about 6 hours in. My friend who's played the game through like 8 times, he's like, yeah, you're a third of the way through. I'm like, damn, this shit's short too. So hopefully I'll be done with it in a week or two and have a video out on Retro Rebound about it. So
snap.
Look forward to it. All right. That's what we're playing this week, Cog. Let's get into the rest of the news. First up here, we have a brand new interview on Avowed from Windows Central Gaming. Let's start off with the highlights. Gameplay director Gabe Paramo on the early gameplay showing, not fully being up to snuff for some, saying, quote, sometimes you can lose sight on the importance of the prioritization of some things. We thought Avowed was good enough to show as is. A lot of that stuff we knew we were going to get to before shipping. We just went, okay, let's look at this. Pardon me. This is a big deal. People are noticing this. We should polish this sooner. We really analyzed the feeling and moment when the player swings their weapon and the moment of impact. We also looked at posing to give that visceral, immediate feedback. We really focused on that and the blood impacts and the VFX impacts and the audio. We basically went and looked at all the pieces that make combat feel more juicy, end quote. Then Gabe Paramo, as well as director Carrie Patel, talked about respecking and choices with character building. Quote, we believe heavily in choice and consequence, so there has to be some consequences for the player's choices, right? If the player could just fill up all of the skill trees by the end of the game, what was the choice there? It's not like any one choice locks you off from the others. It's just that there are quite a few skills and then upgrades within those skills between the trees. Even over the course of a completionist playthrough, you won't get enough points to take absolutely every skill. You could try everything over the course of your playthrough, but you won't have all the skills unlocked at once, end quote. It's been confirmed the pacifist run is not possible in Avowed. Kara Patel also explained the decision on no romance, end quote, or quote, sorry. That should just be the end of the quote. That's it, move on.
That was foul.
I didn't mean to do that, but hey, that works. Quote, we don't have romance in Avowed. I know it's something that many players love, and it's something that we very seriously talked about and considered the investment required to do it. We wanted to make sure that if we were to include it, we included a equally meaningful non-romance path. Given how much we were investing in our companions as characters who are really tied to the central story in a way that they haven't been in many of our previous games, we wanted to make sure that if we were going to do romance, we were going to do it really, really, really do it right, or not at all. For Avowed, we decided to focus on other aspects of our companions, end quote. And they also confirmed they are still recording audio for the banter between party members during camp conversations. So, a lot of info here, Cog. What are our thoughts from top to bottom of this interview for Avowed?
Yeah, sounding better and better. Mm-hmm. Sounding better and better. Like that. Like the information. Shout out to Carrie and what's my man? Game director is Gabe Paramo. Yes, you know, I like the fact that they took the feedback. Yeah. Of the lack of impact and of some of the graphical comments, right? I thought that was big. And yeah, it just looks like they're just trucking along, right, with all the things that they're doing. Look, I like the idea of the skill tree and not necessarily creating like these godlike characters where, you can kind of max out how you want and just be indomitable at some point. I love, choice-based systems in terms of, stuff specced out to how your character is. And if your characters have these advantages, then that could open up those dialogue choices that we saw in some of the demos and stuff that they showed already. Yeah, this round's cool. I'm obviously disappointed about the romance, but I like the answer. If you're going to do it, right, then do it, right? But don't just say it as a checkbox and not really fully flesh out. And that's why I wanted to give Dragon's Age Inquisition some love there, because I felt they really respected when you decided to do the romance option with their characters. Like, it was a fully fledged thing. And I remember certain situations where the character's like, yo, you sure you want to do this? You sure? Like, if we go here, ain't no turning back with this situation. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. If I was like, no, we're not doing that. I do challenge Obsidian that I want it from them at one point in one of their games, in the sense of like, because Outer Worlds, not really. Pavardi was flirting with a character you were helping.
Yeah, there wasn't romance in that game either.
Yeah, so I just would like one game from them to do it, because I know they could do it well. Like, to me, they're like, they're so great. I just want to challenge them in certain things in a certain box. To me, they're the do-it-all, jack-of-all-trades studio. That's how I look at them. You know what I'm saying? So that's all. That's just me nitpicking. That ain't going to affect my love of Avowed. I love banter, party development, that type of stuff. I like feeling connected to the companions and my crew, and I feel that aspect, they already have the strong foundation here, and they're going to be fine there. And I do like Unique not defining you to a class. Yeah. Like, letting you kind of rock out how you want to rock out. That's a very interesting design choice. I'm curious how that's going to play out and be able to switch and stuff, on the fly and things like that. So yeah, so far so good. Every time I hear it, it gets better and better. Getting a little bit more confidence now. See what's going to happen with that release date. Yeah. But I'm liking what I'm hearing from Avowed, man, and I'm hoping they pull this off. It was starting a little shaky for a little bit, and then every time we get more information, it gets stronger and stronger. So I like that. So
I think what Gabe says is believable about how, like, hey, we thought this was good, but clearly we had to focus in on some stuff because we see the improvements. Like, we saw Developer Direct, and then we see how it is now. And Avowed's looking amazing. It really is. Like, it went from the game I was most skeptical to the game I was most excited about in a span of 5 months. Like, they've really improved it a lot. So I believe it. And I think you can see in that new Xbox podcast gameplay that they really took that feedback into account. So I believe it. And I'm glad they hopped on it pretty quickly. It's good they had a plan. It seems like they did, based on how immediately apparent the improvements were. As for the respecking and choices, this leveling system is literally just Skyrim in disguise. Like, it really is. Skyrim is the same way. You can level up. You could be good with one-handed sword, two-handed sword, warhammers, magic. You can be good at it all, but you can't get the perks for everything unless you spend an extreme amount of time in the game. And with a game like Avowed, what benefits them the most with character building is like, okay, you have a 30-hour, maybe 40-hour game tops here. Unless they've fine-tuned the XP enough where, like, you can get all these, which they've clearly made the case that's not going to happen. I like that you're eventually going to have to pick a path. I've always been of the mindset that I think sometimes the pigeonhole is really good for the player when it comes to the character build options, because I feel when you get too free and open, there's no consequence. There's no, like, I'm a mage this playthrough. It's like, are you though? Because you could be a warrior in 2 minutes. And like, it's maybe a little bit of an old school mentality. Cause like, I think about, I was just playing Elden Ring and I respec twice, during the DLC. Like, so I think there's a fair argument on both sides. If you have the equipment, you got to reallocate your stats, that sort of thing. But when it comes to like the perks, the gameplay buffs, the bonuses, like, you're really going in a direction here. I like that you can't just have all of them at once, because that's what makes Skyrim's leveling system great. Like, you can be good at everything, but what are you great at? And I like systems where you level up and they ask you those sorts of questions. So very, very excited about that. Pacifist Run, I'm always surprised when this is asked. And I think it's good to ask and know, but I think the last game I played where I did a pacifist run was Dishonored. I was gonna think about that. Yeah, I don't know if I could be totally wrong. This could be, again, a little bit of an old school thought, because for example, like when I talk about choice and consequence games, I'm like, the 5% is what thrives, as in like, oh, only 5% of people see this decision. Why do we put assets to it? It's like, that's the point. I don't know if that applies for a pacifist run, but I don't really often hear people talking about like, oh, I did a pacifist run in this. I see it like as one video on YouTube, but I don't lose my mind when I don't see this be a thing in the game. Any game that ended up having it confirmed, I was like never inclined to try to play it that way. But they did say that you could stealth through and not kill people during certain segments. You could talk your way out of certain battles, that sort of stuff that you'd expect in an Obsidian style game. No romance. I got thoughts. I love their approach. I do. I know, surprise. But I really do. Let's hear it. I think a lot of game developers successfully swindle and fool their audiences, and they eat that shit up. There are good romance stories out there, but most of it is just y'all want to fuck someone. Like, let's keep it real. And that's cool. I'm not here to kink shame you. That's cool. But I'm saying that I respect that Obsidian's like, hey, I love BioWare, but like, we're not just putting like scantily clad woman out here and just saying like, hey, get your romance out. Look at this deep character. It's like, I like that Obsidian wants to take it a layer deeper and be like, I look at Parvati as a perfect example of that. That is one of the best love stories in a video game, in my opinion. I always go back to this one, Bastila. That's one of the best romance stories in a video game, in my opinion. I think there are good romance stories that have been a little bit neutered by modern horniness at times. And I'm like, we can get a little bit of that, but like, we're forgetting what romance can do to storytelling. I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I'm not saying it's one or the other, but I like that Obsidian say like, yo, yeah, we could have just shoveled it in here. We have Yatsley talking about like someone's boobs right away when you first met her. Like, you could tell she's the promiscuous type. I can see everyone be like, okay. They could have easily leaned in that direction. I respect the stayed hand to be like, we could do that, but we're going to do it right. Provide multiple paths for those who don't want to romance, and multiple outcomes. Like, maybe one of these characters dies. What happens if they die in the main story path while you're romancing them, or when you're in love? Like, those sorts of permutations. I think Obsidian is wise to consider it that way. So I apologize if that's a hot take. I'm not out here to kink shame anyone. I'm just saying I like that Obsidian is outside standing on their square saying, when we do it, we'll do it right. So watch out when they do include romance, because I think it'll probably be better than most games. I think Baldur's Gate 3 was the last one to do it in a pretty solid way. Like, I mean, because some of the performance in that game, like Karlach.
Yeah. Oh.
She is so good, bro.
That game right there. There you go.
Yeah.
I said, proof it could be done. But
yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Come on now.
City, they could do it, bro. But I feel, look, I'm always going to respect the design decision of the developer. If that's the direction you want to take, I'm going to respect it. I just want to see what went down, what it could look like.
No, I agree. I think they should do it one of these times, but I imagine my prediction is they probably were going to do it, but then they talked in this interview about like multiplayer and like how they were, obviously they had to pivot the project completely. Right. So my guess is probably from the design skeleton at the start, this was not even accounted for, because like, how can you romance in a multiplayer game? I mean, you can. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 is a perfect example. They actually bring that up in the interview, and like Carrie Patel was like, what they did is incredible, but they also had like a pipeline starting with Divinity Original Sin and evolved on that for a couple entries, so they can do that sort of stuff with like even multiple romances ongoing in a playthrough, which is just really cool unto itself. But yeah, I think Obsidian will eventually do it. I'm just happy that when they plan to do it, now that they've not done it for 2 games, you're going to know they felt they got something. And that's pretty exciting in my opinion, versus like the expectation I think the best way I could put it without sounding disrespectful as a joke is like, a lot of romance feels like check the box, right?
Right.
And for some people it's enough. That's all they care about. But like, I do think it should be more than that. It's a big storytelling tool. And so it should be treated as such.
No, I get where you're coming from. I guess for me, my hope now is, hey, Outer Worlds 2. Hey, let again, one game of City. That's all we asking, fam. Like, we get it. But now I get what you're saying. If you're going to do it, I love the answer. Do it right. And don't just check a box just to say it is really no meaningful connection. Then it feels weak. It feels, what I'm saying, like, Odyssey is a waste of resource on that point. Also, so I get your point.
it's just also, let's be real, let's be frank, like it's much more complex nowadays. Like there's different types of relationships you have to account for across the spectrum. Like you just can't do a straight relationship only. Like back then you frequently saw, like it's got to be more than that. I mean, Parvati's a good feeling, a good test of like what that can be like. But again, they did it because they felt it was right. And it came from a personal place, which is the best type of writing you can get. I think that's all you really need to see to be like, I think they're making the right call here. And that means likely that the main story for Avowed is going to be fucking cracked. So I can't wait.
I feel that got another game out here doing that, and I was hoping that you was getting into that. But,
I know.
I'm just saying it can be done, but I feel you. I feel you, Obsidian. I'm just teasing. I'm creating some infighting in the house. That's all.
Obsidian's defense, I will say, Starfield has like 4 major companions.
Yes.
Versus Obsidian's got more.
True. No, that is very true. That is no doubt.
But also, Starfield is like such a do everything game.
Yeah,
like, we agree. It doesn't get enough credit, but it does everything. And I'm just saying, Andrea's storyline with that romance involved, like, that's romance done well. Sorry, I should have given that one credit. That's romance done well. That's what I'm saying.
And the fact that not only was it done so well, I almost consider it a religious ideology going against even dealing with you and breaking her out. Like she's supposed to be with her own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if she loved you so much, like, all right, you know what? I'm going to teach you my culture. Like, I know they could do it. You got Bethesda out here. I'm just saying. I'm just don't let them shine you. I think you're the best still until this is my thing. You still got the title. If Bethesda keep coming with this Starfield stuff, and then you got to watch out now for Playground. Playground's coming. So I'm telling you, if y'all want to keep your title.
You think Playground, are you talking about for romance like Fable?
I'm telling you.
No way. You think the game series that's known for like buying condoms and like banging a random person in the open world is going to outshine? No way.
Don't sleep on Playground, bro. I think they coming, man. I'm worried about Obsidian holding on to my mythical title of best Xbox game studio. And you got Bethesda in the building, and now you got Fable coming on. So I'm just saying, if there's one way to keep it, here's something you could do. Romance, baby.
This is the risk you gotta take. I respect how much this matters to you. I respect it. Because you're not alone. You're speaking for a lot of our audience. So.
Listen, man. I've always been a romantic. That's just my nature. So when you connect with somebody, been on your quest for all these missions and all, and we ain't like, let's be real, we ain't never fake about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, we got to be real.
I'm an engaged man. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
See, you already cut off. You disconnected, right? You already got your thing. How about a single folk?
No, I'm obviously joking. I'm gonna feign ignorance. What girl
let us imagine. This is my little fantasy world that imagine things can happen.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Tifa?
And yes, of course, you made me laugh though. Is you said, be real. This is the horniness fact. We got to be real. That's a fact for these young youth out here playing these games. We got to be real.
100% is, bro. I mean, again, I see.
Let's tap into the demographic.
Yeah, like okay, when there's the meme way of doing it, which is Baldur's Gate 3, like, oh, I have sex with a bear. People are like, yeah, sick. And then you got Cyberpunk, who's like, porn. They're like, yeah.
Straight up, genitalia size off the rip.
There was like, here you go. It's like, okay, like we're just going to 2 completely different extremes now, man. Like that's it. And like the jiggle physics are completely in effect. Baldur's Gate 3 adds it in. I'm like, dude, I mean, I respect it. It's a marketing grind completely. So I respect it. But I just think let's stick with our other heads, gentlemen, shall we? Come on now.
Good one. That was a good one.
All right. That's what's going on with Avowed. Looking and sounding great. But what is this Xbox mobile dashboard? Let's get into that in our second news story here. A recent YouTube video from Top Gear suggests what could be a, quote, mobile style, end quote, Xbox dashboard for the ecosystem. With rumors of handhelds lingering, this story gained traction until an Xbox spokesperson said the following to Eurogamer, quote, "We currently have no plans for an Xbox Remake dashboard," an Xbox spokesperson said. "For more information about this mock-up video, please reach out to the Remake team," end quote. So still a lot of our audience was writing in and wanting us to dig a bit on this. Like, is this just a mock-up? Is the same spokesperson who's talking about, like, spokesperson's outside right now, right? Is the same person who's saying like, man, advertising deals. Are they telling the truth in one area and lying in another? How do we want to approach this, Cog? What are our thoughts on this? Is what we're seeing there potentially the dashboard for an Xbox handheld? Because it reminded me a lot of the Backbone UI. You and I were talking about it.
Yes, it did remind me. And a little bit of 360 Blade energy. This is an interesting find because shout out to Brad Sands, I think is where it came across my line. And look, Top Gear is, this is the car aficionado site. Apparently this is some future version of like a taxi / Uber. You jump in, completely, driven, stuff like that, self-driven. And, you had the entertainment system. I think where people are challenging it's 100% not a mock-up thing is that if you look at the initial shot of it, I think it had like the finals, Fortnite, something. There was a cursor. And again, I'm not saying it's not impossible. I don't know how sophisticated mock-ups have been in this game, at this age, but that part made it feel like it was usable. It was doable, kind of thing. So again, maybe they simulated that for the mock-up. Who knows? But it gave the appearance that this is something that they gave them. And I thought it was interesting that, I don't know if Remac was supposed to show this or not. Like, it was there, the Xbox dashboard. And what it goes to show you is that regardless of mock-up or not, this style of dashboard and the way that UI is designed, that UI looks like it can be in a mobile device. That UI looks like it could be in a handheld. That UI looks like the future of UIs for Xbox if we are more than just on a console. Simplistic, minimalistic, get in, get out, that kind of thing. And, with streaming and stuff like that. So this seems to be cooking. I will say it feels like it more. We're going to have to take their word for it for now. You know what I'm saying? But it feels like it, and maybe they're just not ready to comment because they have this exclusive deal or whatever it is with them. But clearly, Remac is showing this. I don't know if they were supposed to do that, but that's
what I don't get. Like, how do they say we have no plans for this, and then they show it in a video? Like, here's the Xbox dashboard working. Like, that's why the spokesperson, man. Like, the track record's going to be defined here. Like, what's going on, right? Like, it's like, how do they do a mock-up for your brand? Like, if it's going to be used as almost like a commercial thing, like a promotional thing, right? Don't you need to talk to Xbox to do? I'm genuinely talking from a point of no knowledge.
Yeah, same way. Like, to me, if they were already giving them something from a prototype standpoint to work around, Remac may have jumped out early with their excitement, or maybe someone who was, what's the guy that from Top Gear that they're showing, the CEO, and he's showing them stuff. Maybe someone was supposed to have that available just then. Like, this will show all the other features of the car, and that they were like, it was like a oops. So now Xbox, we ain't supposed to talk about that, fam. Like, you know what I mean? It could be that situation, or theoretically, yes, it could be a mock-up, and they just had something there for them, and just to show them that they want cloud gaming to be everywhere. I don't know, man. I hear what you're saying on the spokesperson thing. I'm kind of like
specified as an Xbox Remac dashboard. Instead of a Remac dashboard, instead of like a mobile dashboard or a handheld dashboard. They like, oh yeah, you don't have plans for the car dashboard, but something else maybe.
Legal semantics could be right. It could be. Yeah, we don't have plans for a Remac one specifically or something like that. But you may have plans for like a mobile handheld one that they're going to use in a Remac. Like, this is it could be semantics. Again, I know I am reaching. We will have to take their word for now, but it's exciting stuff. And at the end of the day, again, it goes to show you that the main important thing is the thought process. They plan to be everywhere. Any place outside of the console market is where they also are going to go. And look, if any of these things take off, Amazon Fire Sticks, in cars, streaming, again, places think, I know my hardcore gamers are like, they scrounge their face. This is not what I want. Who's going to do it? It's not for you. You are not the target demographic. The guy that does not have a money, that cannot afford it, that only makes a certain amount of income, that can never afford a console, that they have internet, or they have the infrastructure and the trains. There are countries that are way ahead of us in some of this stuff. And I know when I go to London, bro, I could pull out my cell. I'm in the train, underground, doing all with the highest of fidelity as far as bandwidth and stuff. They have that stuff when you go to these countries. So that's what you got to think about. And if they catch a little bit of success, a little bit of I remember when they debuted Xbox Cloud Gaming in some particular country. Remember, like, Fortnite was like 300%.
Oh, yeah.
There was some stat that we were like, really? People are streaming Fortnite? Like, it goes to show you. So you gotta put the tendrils everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of them hits, they'll be ahead of the game if it does happen. So I think that's what's happening here. But we'll keep our eye out on this.
Yeah, we'll see what that handheld dashboard's looking like and see if spokesperson is keeping a clean track record or not. Time will tell. This one's less speculative, more concrete, if you will. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake may be leading the charge for Activision games coming to Game Pass starting in August. This rumor stems from Ecstasis and subsequently corroborated by Windows Central's Jess Corden. Jess also states that Microsoft's plan is to drip feed Activision's content rather than dropping it all at once, similar to what they did with Bethesda when they first acquired them. So, Cog, we're starting to see the rumbling. It's finally happening. These are the two games. No mention of Call of Duty yet. What are our thoughts here on these two games leading the charge and what it could mean moving forward for Game Pass?
Yeah, this is great, man. This is what we're waiting for. Like that steady drip feed of content, and they got to do it right. I think we all agree. No shotgun blast of 1,000 titles at 1 month, and you got to spread this out right. You also got to be strategic with releases, and then even more so with them, because obviously the Matt Booty interview and how they were talking about how they were fearful. They were kind of honest about, Grand Theft Auto's out here. You got other things, your third-party partners. Sure. You have to be cognizant of all this stuff. So to me, it's perfect in the summer if you think about it, right? This is kind of the time to slowly start the drip feed. Yeah. Just off the showcase, keep the high going, give them the Crash, give them a Tony Hawk Pro Skater there, let them know about that stuff. And if you got more stuff, Call of Duties and some other announcements, now would be the time to do it because you want to get all this stuff out between I think Critical is now June through August. Mm-hmm. Keep the momentum, steady feed, and then boom, September and all that stuff. We know the big boys are coming kind of thing. So I think it's smart, man. Yeah,
taking some of that budget, maybe pocketing it a little bit as a busy holiday window creeps up and using your own catalog of games to feed the service also could be pretty good for them. But yeah, I'm excited about this because I've already played and beat the Insane Trilogy, so that's less exciting for me. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, I loved those games growing up. I never played the remake though.
I never played a Tony Hawk game.
Oh, never? What?
I've never played a Tony Hawk game. Dude. This will be the first for me. I've never played one. I've heard of how great they are. I've never played one.
They're awesome. Like 1 and 2 speak for themselves. I've not played the remake, but I've heard they're really good. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, I love. A lot of people love Underground. There were so many that, like, as a kid, I couldn't keep up with them. Like, I think Project 8 was kind of shitty, but American Wasteland, I love that game. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, you would go to all these different parts of the world and like do these pretty much heists that would allow you to, like, I think at one point there's a mission where you use like a rocket launcher to like loosen something to bring back to this ultimate skate park. Like, you're building the ultimate skate park by stealing from everyone and putting it all in this big yard. And so, yeah, you just build the sickest entire like playground of stuff to skateboard on, and it's amazing. I had so much fun with that game. So that's another good one. Yeah, there's just tons of great Tony Hawk. Oh, dude, you're in for a treat then. You're in for a treat. And those soundtracks,
bro, I heard a crazy. That I heard.
Yeah, they're so good. But I'm excited for the remakes again. I've heard such amazing things on like the content they added. Like you can do things like wall kicks. Like the combo potential is insane. And those things are like a muscle memory. Like I fire those up, give me like a minute and my combo game is sick. Like just, it's so good. It's funny because there was a really special time where you had that alongside Skate. Like when Tony Hawk and Skate were running parallel with each other. People, I was guilty, by the way, made it too much of a competition. They were doing completely different things in the skateboarding genre. And now we really don't have either. There's just really no skateboarding games. Session exists.
Skate still in development though, the newer one?
It is, but like it's gonna be a while. It's been a while since the last Skate game. And Tony Hawk they had 1 and 2 remake do amazing. And then Tony Hawk himself was like, yeah, we were gonna do 3 and 4, but Activision shut it down. And it was like, damn, dude. Yeah. No, the game sold a ton too. So I forgot what it was. Let me look it up in the meantime.
That's crazy. I never knew that. Oh, wow. I just thought it was one of the things that died out.
Well, I looked this up. What do you think of the drip feed with this and what they are going to drop next? Because a lot of people, again, are wondering where's Call of Duty? And like, when's that going to hit?
Bro. I mean, Look, streets are talking. The streets are talking. And if I had to guess, it's gotta be soon, man. It's gotta be soon. Like, in my opinion, you dropped any mainline Call of Duty or a last year's one, you know, you get that buzz going, especially now that you've already announced Black Ops 6 as the home for Game Pass and Xbox kind of the home of Call of Duty. You hit them with one mainline one now just to gauge and get the engagement going, especially during these summer months, right? Right before, the big stuff. So I think that's happening. They've got a lot of things they could put in the service, and I'm super excited for that. And obviously, my bias is always toward the Transformers game, but also the Tenchu games. Tenchu, the Spider-Man joints. There's some Spider-Man joints for you. They got a lot of different ways they could go with this, and it's just a matter of, again, I don't envy them. The hardest battle for them is going to be scheduling how to release these things.
Yeah, that's like someone's full-time job. That's got to be fun.
Full-time job.
So Tony Hawk said that it was shut down because 3 and 4 were apparently too ambitious. Meanwhile, Liam Robertson at Did You Know Gaming says that it was shut down because the pitch was rejected because they wanted the developer working as a Call of Duty support studio.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's when the salt mine started. That Call of Duty money was too much. Yeah. It's like, and that's crazy because the games you said were successful. That's so crazy. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This is they said we settled on adding some handling features from the later games to reflect the way people remember the old Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. The improvements from 3 seemed to bleed into people's memories of the first 2. Eventually it became clear that we didn't have time for that for more than 1+2. So the idea that we'd continue on and release 3+4 in some fashion was on the table. So
wow.
Yeah. Big bummer.
Big, yeah. That sucks.
All right. Speaking of Game Pass, last bit of news here. Coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. Here's a slate of games. Some already out right now in Journey to the Savage Planet and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. You can get those on console, PC, and cloud. On July 9th, you can get Cricket 24, as well as The Case of the Golden Idol on console, PC, and cloud. On July 11th, Neon White comes to Xbox on console, PC, and cloud alongside Chia on Series X and S, PC, and cloud. And then July 16th, you get Flock and Magical Delicacy on console, PC, and cloud. Meanwhile, leaving Xbox Game Pass, on July 6th, it's Cricket 22. And then on July 15th, the following titles are all leaving. Figment 2, Creed Valley, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Toem, Sins of a Solar Empire, Rebellion, and The Wandering Village. Cog, anything here catching your eye for exits or arrivals?
I thought it was interesting with the cricket situation.
Yeah, I know, right? Where's 23? Where's Cricket 23?
Where's 23 at? Yeah, Cricket 23 must be safe or not in existence on the joint. I was just curious for the cricket fans. How's that going for y'all?
Cricket fans, man. Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a big thing in the UK. Cricket's a huge thing in the UK. Oh, yeah.
No, they have Cricket 19 and 22 on the Xbox app. I don't see a Cricket 23.
No Cricket 23?
It is. Cricket 23 a game? I guess it would make sense if it's not a game. Yeah, I don't think it's a game. They have Cricket 22 and 24.
Now I want the lore. I want the deep lore about Cricket 23.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's Reddit/Cricket 22 saying Cricket 24 at all worth it on Xbox ?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think there's a Cricket 23. I think
there's not.
I think, yeah, because I imagine the sport. Yeah, I don't know if these games are good or not. I'm so curious now. I'm
curious now.
Cricket 24 Open Critic.
Yeah, what's going on?
61 average. 5 out of 10 IGN. 5 out of 10 Video Gamer. 5 out of 10 Push Square. Okay. 5 out of 10 Gaming Bolt. Yeah. Cricket 24 is a disappointingly modest and often slipshod update that seemingly lacks the confidence and creativity to further advance down the wicket. Cricket 24 fails to build upon some series' solid opening partnership from its previous installments in a significant way. Its enjoyable core gameplay is practically identical to Cricket 22, with the only noticeable addition being franchise tournament format. Its abundance of bugs and glitches and barren online lobbies leaves little reason to take another swing at the series if you've already played an innings of a previous title. So, Cricket 24. It's here. Enjoy.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
There is no Cricket 2023.
There is no 23. Yeah. Due to the Ashes being in next summer. I just see a Reddit thread. All right. Yeah. There it is. I needed the deep lore on that. It was just so strange. But yeah, this is a quiet month for me. I mean, I still, as far as the newer Game Pass, the stuff that I want is just outside of this window. I talked about Path. I believe Path is the 18th.
Yeah.
Path of the Goddess. So just outside my window. But yeah, not for me per se. Anything for you?
I'm surprised you didn't mention Neon White. Have you looked into that at all?
I've heard, you know what's funny? I've heard about it. I didn't get a chance to really do enough research on it, but I've heard good things about it. And that's the 11th. Are you messing with it?
Yeah, bro. That game is, I mean, I already played it on Switch, but that game is great. I think you in particular would really.
You think it's me?
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of fun ideas that may catch on for you. I'm curious. It might be a little outside your comfort zone, but it's a first-person shooter that is, oh man, it's so tough to describe. It's fast-paced.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I remember you talking about it.
Yeah,
right?
I talked about it in a What We're Playing section a couple years ago.
I remember this.
Yeah, it's got fast-paced movement, as you're already seeing, first-person gunplay. And you're like going to pick up weapons as you move around the map, and they're almost like combat puzzles at times, and there's sort of like a speed to getting through it all. And the music is amazing.
I'll check it. I like the character design because it reminds me of Masked Ninja from Shinobi.
Yeah,
they have the masks.
That's a big part of the story, like the masks and yeah, the where they're at and everything. Yeah,
I do like that.
It's got a good story.
May get me just for the. All right, you know what? It's the 11. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you're competing with you're.
They only got a couple days.
Yeah,
because 11th to the 18th. 18th come, it's a wrap.
The idea is you're competing for a spot in heaven, but the what's kind of cool that I think would fit for you is this is like a good ROG Ally game, like a good pick up, play for a little bit, put down. Because I mean, it started off as a Switch exclusive, so that's. I mean, I don't think it was deliberately designed with that in mind, but like it has that feeling of like the missions are stages, so you could just pick up, do a few, put it down. Okay. And keep doing that. Yeah. But the game is great. I think you would really like it. If you got, it's also not super long. So it's one that if you had the time leading into Kinitsugami, you can check that out.
All right. You're selling it. You're sealing it. Neon. Let me get the pre-download on the app.
Sir.
Get that going. Because that's my reminder. My new thing now, I got to pre-download it and then pin it to I call it my starting games. And then, oh yeah, that's the next. I got to do that. I got to do that. That's my homework assignment. All right, cool. So we're going to put that down. Let's do that. Download the console right down. Neon White. It's going down.
The other suggestion I have is actually the Game Pass pick of the week. So
let's get
into it. Sean Mason really sets us up here. Greetings, Dukes. I'd like to recommend a Game Pass pick of the week, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. When it released in November, I was greatly impressed by the significant improvements over its predecessor. With an expansive roster and addictive gameplay reminiscent of Super Smash, it's a stellar choice. The single-player story is surprisingly engaging, making it a truly enjoyable experience overall. Best, Sean M. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Nick All-Star Brawl 2. This is my top 10 last year. I think it came in at the number 9 spot, right ahead of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. But for you Smash fans out there, I mean, do not sleep on this game. Like this is, I wouldn't say the closest someone's got, but if you're talking about like a competitor who's trying to like break into the Smash scene in a meaningful way, like the familiar mascots, but a surprisingly deep fighting game. This game, I'm not saying it is, but it has Melee vibes, which I know is held in high regard. It's like the ultimate competitive Smash game, but it does have Melee vibes in its speed and its combat, its kits. Every character sounds and feels different. There's a lot of variety here. It's got a really good single player mode as well, very roguelite almost. It's very different, very fun, and I think a lot of you out there would enjoy it if you gave it a chance. I've talked about it a lot on the show. Like my friends and I played it for a few weeks straight. And I think especially on Game Pass, definitely worth the look. If you're like me and you grew up with Nickelodeon and you kind of ignored this one, this is also a great pickup. I think the roster is like the biggest complaint you could have with Nick All-Star Brawl 2. Like I never thought I'd be saying this about a Nickelodeon game, but sometimes like a little bit too deep of a cut and kind of overlooking characters that would make a lot of sense. Like why is, I forgot her name. I think Helga. No, that was the blonde. There's a character from Hey Arnold that's there, the grandma who's there, but Arnold himself isn't there. Gerald's there, but Arnold's not there. I'm like, what? Like, who's picking this roster out? Like,
super deep cut for no reason.
There's choices like that where I'm like, you didn't even get Arnold yet. Like, why are we doing the sidekicks right now? Like, let's get Arnold in, So there are choices like that, which are a little strange. The version of like Fire Emblem characters, like a running joke in Smash games, like, they have a million Fire Emblem characters. I'd say either SpongeBob or the Avatar characters. Like they have a ton of these types of characters all in Nick All-Star Brawl 2. So I guess that would be the only complaint I really have is the roster a little bit, but they've added DLC since. So they have like Zuko in the game now, and you can check him out. So yeah, the game's awesome. And I think it's a very good Game Pass pick of the week, if I do say so myself. Nice. Shout out to Sean Mason for the write-in.
Shout out to Sean. That is the home. He always has great write-ins.
All right. So, Cog, that's it for the show.
Yes.
Move on to our final question from Daniel J. We've been kind of getting these sorts of like favorites or bests or worst questions to wrap up our show, and I like the trend, so let's continue.
Yes, I like it.
He writes, "Greetings, thy noble dukes. I would like to throw in another general video game question, as last week's open world and Mt Rushmore character discussions were really good ones. Who are some or just one of the best and most memorable video game bosses to you guys? I have a hard time coming up with bosses that were memorable as well as really well designed and fun. My picks would be, in no order, Liquid Ocelot from MGS4, Raph from Uncharted 4, and Mr. Freeze from Arkham City. Honorable mention to P5 Royal's final boss too. Hope you guys have a fun and relaxing 4th of July weekend and have a got my ticket to see the Dukes and Sacred Boys at a hometown LSM show kinda day." Shout out to Daniel J.
Daniel J, pull up. Oh, that's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Dope. Yeah, I like these write-ins, man. Yeah, I like these. Last week was fun. That was a lot of fun because you really made me think out the box. So we doing the bosses, right?
Yeah, boss fight.
Best and most memorable video. I got a couple. First go with a deeper cut that's older. I'm gonna go with Dark Force, who is the final boss of, I believe, Phantasy Star 1 for Master System, as well as returning evil that always can't be stopped but contained kind of energy. Phantasy Star 2 was probably my first venture into a JRPG where I couldn't beat something and I was really frustrated and I had to learn the mechanics of speccing and doing. Yeah. So Phantasy Star 2 Dark Force. And he was an optional boss. Like he wasn't the final boss. The final boss, I believe, was Mother Brain, which was tough, but Dark Force was by far the toughest JRPG boss I had ever fought. At a time. So gotta put that in. So you want to go, you go, I go, I just keep going.
We'll bounce back and forth because I had to look up the name for this one, but as a kid, this was like the biggest barrier to progression. It was Mad Nautilus from Mega Man X Command Mission. This is a turn-based Mega Man game. I always tell people if you need a sales pitch for it, Final Fantasy X, but Mega Man, amazing game. And nice. I still haven't beat it, but amazing game nonetheless. And this boss is really what stopped me from ever beating as a kid. I'd always go over to my friend's house and we'd play and we'd get to this boss no matter what we did. Like we would restart the game thinking like something was going to change. We would flip off the screen, trying to think like that would get in the boss's head. Like we did everything meta worthy to try to break through this boss and just couldn't. And so the day we actually broke through after like months of trying was like one of the best days ever. Like it was just incredible that we finally pulled it off. So Mad Nautilus for me from Mega Man X Command Mission comes to mind.
I like that. All right, so we going on. I'm surprised my FGC. I'm gonna give some love. I've been at war with this community. They've been upset with me. They started with me. I'm a Tekken guy. I was minding my business, and the Street Fighter community keep coming at me, being very slanderous, and I had to educate them on the lore of Tekken 7. But I gotta put respect on Akuma's name. Akuma in this sense that I remember playing Street Fighter 2 and it's like to unlock, to even face him, you had to get all like perfects and all type of stuff. And when he pulled up in your game, savagery. It was like kind of like, I would say like the origins or the early ideas of secret boss characters and stuff like that. And he has the coolest look. You can't front on Akuma. Now, granted, in Tekken 7, he came into Tekken 7 and he beat Hayachi, but he did not beat Devil Kazuya, and that's that. And Devil Kazuya's walk around fine. He didn't kill nobody. So that's why I keep after chastising the Street Fighter community a little bit. They're a little too gassed up right now. But I like Akuma. I'm not going to get them to make me hate someone that I already liked. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, salute to Akuma. Definitely FGC worthy. A villain, a terror. And anytime he pulls up with that difficulty. And he was a terror in Tekken 7. I cannot front. Oh my God, he was a terror. So salute to him.
Another one for me is, I'll just say the masked figure. I think he went by the name of Leonhardt in Trails in the Sky FC. Ooh. It is a boss. What's cool about this boss fight is it's designed to beat you. You're intentionally pretty much one arm behind your back. The fight, it's supposed to be one of those fights you lose the battle.
Gotcha.
And then they're like, oh man, we can't do this, and the cutscene plays, that sort of thing. You can beat it though, and there's like an achievement attached to it. And I managed to pull it off, and it was such a good feeling. Great turn-based boss fight. Just kind of overcoming the odds, earning that achievement, and also just kind of doing something. And the story kind of reacting to it a little bit. You don't go completely off a different direction, but like the reaction of the characters afterwards, it's really cool to see. So it was like one of those crunchy 45-minute boss fights where I'm just grinding away, like healing, rezzing for multiple turns straight as everyone just continues to get knocked down until you finally get that opening and push a little bit further. Like one of those types of fights where if I lost, it might have been one of the worst fights ever. But because I won, it's one of the best.
Love this. These are good. These are good. All right, we're going to continue the theme. This one was super tough. I got to give Jake Solomon his flowers. XCOM 2 War of the Chosen is probably one of the hardest turn-based games I've ever played. And he started flirting, before they made The Chosen, they were flirting with these things called the Alien Hunters, where you were just playing a regular mission where it'd be rescue, whatever. And sometimes it'd be like time-based in the sense of, like, you got 6 turns to do this or the mission fails. And this random, indomitable, like, boss character would come onto the field, and not only would he be tough and have all his tons of health points, he would break the rules of the game. Like, he would, like, normally XCOM is you go, I go. He would go after every action you made. You shoot, he goes again. You reload, he goes again. So it all you could do was just hold him off to maybe hurt him a little bit where they escaped the battlefield. So they started to play with this stuff in the Alien Hunters attachment. But when War of the Chosen came out, where it was the hunter, it was 3 of them, the hunter, the warlock, and the assassin, I believe. Yeah. Bro, when these 3 came onto the field, and here's the thing, the longer you they were a gameplay mechanic. So you had the basic game, and then you had them. And they were set, because I guess the alien gods were mad that you won the first XCOM, and they were like, no, handle this human, handle this commander. We're tired of this. Like, you coming to kill Commander Shepard. They was on that type of time. Like, and bro, same kind of thing, but so much worse. The hardest. If you did not eliminate them before, there were stories of people that if you did not eliminate them individually before you get towards the end game and had to face all 3 of them toward the end game, it was damn near impossible. That's the challenge of XCOM. So The Chosen, those 3, bro, they did it. They did. That was difficulty on I had people quit the game and say, "Carl, this is ridiculous. I cannot." Like, there's already enough going on with this game in these 3. It was that. Yeah. So shout out to The Chosen.
That's a tough one. Yeah. That series is already crunchy and difficult.
Oh. What you got?
Trying to think here of other ones. Someone, the writer already mentioned Persona 5's Final Fight. So there's that one for sure. But I would say as a new one, I am going to say final boss of Mega Man Zero. The story payoff and especially the difficulty. That was another one of those like fuck yeah moments. When I beat the boss, it was like, yeah, let's go. Like, I did that. Against insurmountable odds, felt impossible. I for those who don't know, I know you're supposed to build your character with like the Buster in mind. I built with the Z-Saber in mind, which isn't like the end of the world, but if you're not pixel perfect with it and really, like, I think I'm good at these games, but really good, you're going to pay the price. And that boss made me pay the price a lot. That game was one of the hardest ones I've ever played. And so that was really fun to finally overcome. And especially the story payoff afterwards, that felt amazing. So that's another one of mine.
That's
Mega
awesome.
Man is just a treasure trove of favorite fights. I can just do a whole
those bosses, bro, and the order. Oh yeah, Mega Man is classic. This one I gotta give credit. Inspired by a character in this game.
Oh.
So the voice actor who played Sam Coe, the Sam Coe character, cowboy hat.
Yeah. So
I follow him on Twitter. So he put up what I thought was the funniest thing I ever seen. Mm-hmm. So he said, I'm with my son and he's having him play Mike Tyson's Punch Out for the first time. And the NES version, and the first character he faces is Glass Joe, which is the pushover character. Like literally, like every opportunity to win, it's given to you. So he got a picture, because in Mike Tyson Punch Out, the NES old version, between the rounds as it goes on, if you're getting beat up, he's got a picture of the character Little Mac, both eyes closed. And he's like, I've never been more disappointed in my son going 3 rounds with Glass Joe, the first character. It was the tweet. I thought it was the funniest thing. It's probably viral right now, right? I was like, damn. And then I thought about it. I was like, the original OG NES, Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson Punch Out was a terror. He would be the only character that you had to find out the tells. I think he had like a gold teeth shimmer, and then he would do
right now. My son is playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out on my NES, and he's going all 3 rounds against Glass Joe. I've never been more frustrated in my life.
I felt that frustration, that like if I felt his sad dad disappointed energy. But yeah, Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson Punch Out was a terror. That was a badge of honor. He was our first Dark Souls boss, so to speak. Like one hitter quitters, like he just defied the rules of how the game for the most part played. Now there was tougher bosses before him, but one thing, what was great? We actually did a stream with Addict, who never played these old school games. Played it, he started to get into it. He started to learn. I was like, see, there was no continues. There's no guide. There was no this is what we was dealing with on one sitting and no save. Yep. Get in there. So yeah, so I gotta give a shout out to the OG. So hopefully the Punch Out guys here is Mike Tyson for Mike Tyson Punch Out for sure.
I'm trying to think if there's one more off the top of my head. Shredder and Turtles of Time, trying to no death run it. That is, or no continue run it. That I know is a game that was like designed to just eat quarters, but man, doing that as a kid, getting through that game without having to like do the continue and restarting. There's an ego involved in it, right? Like, you could get to the end of it if you just, I have the game right behind me. I still do it where I'm like, I can get to the end of this if I just keep spamming lives. But like, what if I could do it without doing that? Right? Like that would be a great, satisfying feeling. And to do that once as a kid with my buddies, like I would go over after school some days and we would set up the SNES and we'd play Turtles in Time because that was my only way of accessing it. Was a great feeling when I finally overcame it with my friends, because it was like complete co-ops. It was like, we did it. Let's go. I mean, those bosses are no joke, man, because those are the bosses that you can't even touch them and they're going to hurt you, right? Like those old school bosses go hard in that way. So I'm glad you brought up an old school example, because I probably wouldn't have thought of it yet. Shredder and Turtles in Time, always. I like
that. I like that. Last 2, I got just honorable mentions.
Sure.
I'll be remiss as a Final Fantasy guy. I got to give Sephiroth some love. One of the best boss music fights with that damn Sephiroth. That joint is crazy. I was going, and shout out to me handicapping myself, not knowing, when you play Final Fantasy VII in the remake joint, and you know how like you got Curaga, and the latest one. My stupid self was didn't know you could press the directional pad to the side. I'm using basic cure, and I'm literally every 5 seconds cure Barrett, cure this one. Like bro, I made it the most.
MP efficiency was probably nuts.
Bro, Attic was laughing at me. He's like, bro, all you got to do is move the directional pad to the side. You get the later. I said, so why isn't it default? I thought it defaulted to the most strongest
I've made that mistake before. That's so funny. You were on the final fight still doing that, though. That's amazing.
Using basic cure in the fight.
Hey, dude, credit to you. That's some good skill to have.
I said, bro, I'm nice though. So that was that. And then the last honorable mention, because I want people to play this game. Ukon, Gears Tactics, another one of the hardest turn-based bosses I've ever faced. Amazing, epic scale boss fights. And if you didn't spec correctly, you had to do that whole thing over. It was that bad. So shout out to Ukon, Gears Tactics. Final boss was crazy.
Hell yeah. So those are some of our favorite boss fights in gaming. We appreciate everyone continues to write in, pick our brains, challenge us a bit to think on the things we love. We appreciate that immensely. And so, Cog, we've reached the end of another episode of Defining Duke. And I turn it to you to ask, what is our hashtag this week?
Trying to think, man. A lot of fun lot of fun topics. I'm trying to think. So, I mean, obviously the main, we had Avowed and we had the mobile joint. But I felt like it's one of those weird episodes where I felt like the surrounding news of what we're playing were more interesting than actually the main joints.
Yeah. This is the worst weeks to be like running the show. I'm just like, what do I name it this week?
Like the Realm of the Dukes made this show fire, and obviously the way you set it up. You know what I'm saying? But this is a tough one because it was like a lot of good things that we had all over the place.
Right in DD. I mean, we could say right in DD. Like,
yeah, let's give it up. Right in DD. Yeah,
I like audience that continues to make the show more interesting than it actually is.
Yes.
Use the hashtag right in DD. You can throw in the comments right now. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Otherwise, I'm at G27status on Twitter. Cog is at Lord Cognito. You can tag us there again using the hashtag right in DD. Remember, this is writing like you're writing on a piece of paper, not like if I see any RIGHTs out there, I'm coming for you. We're not right in the DD. We are writing in about DD. So please keep it civil. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you immensely once more. And we'll catch you next week for the properly numbered episode 184 of the Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Thank you so much. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.